Game over.
And what is up? It is Friday night, and you're here with the Average Boys podcast. Originally, I was supposed to be here solo. Someone came to my rescue. My good friend Michael Betancourt is on the show tonight. Mike, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. Glad to be here. I didn't want you sitting on here alone, crying. You know, we can cuddle together. It'll be all right. Yeah, we'll spend our Friday night together. It's all right.
It's all good, man. I appreciate you so much, man. It was super cool that you answered the call. You know, it was real. Okay, so Brian hit me up earlier this week, and he's like, "Hey, man, you know, I'm gonna go do." He does like private parties, like mixologist. He goes and does like these real badass, like upstyle parties in New Jersey, and makes some extra cash on the side. So he was like, "Hey, man, I'm probably gonna do one during the show, but I really wanted to talk to you about, of course, the number one talking point right now is, of course, Thor: Love and Thunder." So you haven't had the opportunity to go see it. So I know that I cannot spoil this movie for you, and I'm going to make sure that everybody in the comment sections knows we're not here to do spoilers like that for people that have not seen the film. We want people to enjoy this film for what it's worth, and we want to get their first reactions. But I will allow you to ask me questions if you want to break the ice a little bit later on. But Mike, I want to catch up, man. I feel like I haven't seen you in fucking forever. It's been a minute, bro. It's been a minute. Tell me.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. You know, we've been busy, spending more time relaxing, doing absolutely nothing, aside from paying the bills and doing the desk job. So that's always good. Yeah, Robert, I promise I won't be a YouTuber. I'm definitely not.
Yeah, dude, like everyone. We're always talking about that. We're like, people do they get the opportunity to go see these movies, and the first thing they do is they come out and they're like, dude, it was the greatest movie I've ever seen on the planet. It was the best thing since sliced bread and the Q-tip. Like, the boys here have taught me to not get trailer fished. So, yeah, I went in there pretty soft-minded. But
and let's be honest. I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've read the source material. Like it's Bible at this point. I cannot exclaim enough how much I love Jason Aaron's run on everything he did. You know, Lady Thor, and then what he does with God, Gore the God Butcher, and then the God Bomb storyline. All that is just a masterpiece of Thor literature. You know, not since Walter Simonson, in my opinion, do we get something as great as what we got with Jason Aaron. So I think I know what they're doing with the movie, and I have to be with the opinion that it's too much to fit into a single movie time running. I'm guessing that's the point, right?
I would agree. Me, my best friend Christella, Vince Weaver, who will probably be in the comments later, dropping some crazy questions, and of course our friend Alexander Michael. We all went together. Vince dressed as 80s fucking Thunderstrike Thor.
That's awesome.
Me, Christella, and Alex, we all got these really, really cool like Thor: Love and Thunder backpacks from EDC Productions. Yeah. Because they had a Thor's Day at Ramsey Ramirez Kaboom Comics. Shout out to Ramsey. They had this really cool Thor's Day event where they were promoting the movie. They showed Thor Ragnarok 3, and they had like a fucking trivia, and they were like, who knows how to spell Mjolnir? And I was like, me, I know how to spell it. And I spelled it with an E instead of an I, and I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid. But of course,
it's good that I wasn't there. I probably would have wrecked that trivia
you would have
and walked away with everything.
You would have slapped me so hard. Then they were like, who else? What did they say? Who is the other rendition of Thor? And instead of Thunderstrike, my mind kept saying Thunderclap.
What in the hell, Chris?
Thunderclap, dude. I was so, I don't know why I got put on the spot, and like the most craziest things in my head popped off, and I was like, this is so horrible. My brain is so bad. I'm such a huge comic book Thor fan, and I was just absent-minded when asked questions.
I'd have
It
been
was
like
it was
Derek
so funny.
Matheson was Thunderstrike. His son takes over.
It
It'd have been
was
gross.
so
How
it
nerdy
was
I would
so
have been on that one.
wild because what's up? You see, I told you Vince was gonna be here. Vince, what's
There you
up?
go.
Okay, guys, be careful. No spoilers. Mike has not seen the movie. We're trying to not spoil it for Mike either. So anybody that haven't seen the movie, you're gonna be safe. This is a safe space for you. But yeah, it was enjoyable for what it's worth. I hope when you go see the movie, I'm one of the first people you text and you say either something good or either something bad. Since Vince went with me, he got to see like my immediate reaction after the film. And for some reason, the easiest way to explain this movie is as a movie, it's cool. Like it's fun. It's witty. But of course, any comic book lover will know in the Marvel universe, the representation of the actual story, it very systematically gets sprinkled on a Taika Waititi movie.
Right.
That's literally what it feels like. So, but other than that, Mike, before we get into any of that stuff, I want to know, tell me what has been going on in your life.
It's a lot of behind the scenes work, where we closed on Harness Fan Convention. Morphin Mania did its last event, which you guys did amazing for helping us out with, that memoriam and everything that we had to go on that went worldwide. It was shared, across the pond in Australia. We have analysts going all over the place for this thing. So it was wonderful. The stars themselves were happy that you guys did what you did. But on my end, I'm working to produce another convention. We're looking to create Monster Hunter Con. So we're looking to host that in the city of Mission. And it's going to be a different type of show. I don't just want to make another convention that's hey, vendors are here, we have some guests, get your signings, go to a few panels and get out. I'm going to go a step further, and we're going to make this an ARG, an alternate reality game. So
Nice.
Just attaching yourself to the show, joining up, you become part of the Monster Hunter Society, and you receive your class ranks as a starter hunter. You start off at Class C, and as you attend individual events, smaller events, you get to level up and get better ranks until you get to our master rank, which is our double S class. And once you're there, you start finding the dark hidden secret of the show's guardian, which will have a giant silver dragon as our mascot, who she is and why she's there, and the monsters you actually be hunting for us, because you're part of our Monster Hunter Society. You are there to defend this show and make sure everything happens safely. So we'll be going with more of a sci-fi and horror film type of guest lineup, and we're making sure that everything falls into the line of storytellers. Everybody there has either been a monster hunter in a film, has directed and written, provided something that increases the story and allows you to interact with things. And that's what we want. I want to make sure that the show is not the same type of production everybody's used to, that it's interactive, it spreads throughout the year, you never stop having fun, and you find us everywhere.
Where did you guys get the idea for the new style of idea for the convention?
Honestly, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. The first time I tried to do it was back in 2012 with my first convention, OmniCon, and we couldn't get the support. People were confused with the idea because it was brand new. Back then, we had Halo was doing a minor ARG where you'd call in and you'd get a clue to the new game and who the new enemy was in the hive. I think it was the Honey Jar ARG that they had, something to that effect. And it's just something that I wanted to do, and we're just, as a D&D enthusiast, as a big old RPG nerd, I kind of figured it's about time, to let everybody have fun.
That sounds super cool, man. How would it be? Like, okay, so you're saying that when people go to this type of convention that you're planning on hosting and you're creating, you say that they become part of like a clan or protectors of the realm, or protectors of the realm as the convention being the realm. But how is it that the persons either get their turns or they get to take advantage of their power-ups or their level ups, and how do they use their magical powers and stuff?
We're going to adopt a system, and you'll see it happen for the first time live in December. We're going to be partnering with 5x5 Brewery, and we're going to have a live-action Dungeons & Dragons adventure that I'm writing. And the entire story is that you fell asleep and woke up dead, and you're starting backwards. So you wake up in a cemetery, and you got to find out what murdered you when you left the first adventure. So instead of starting off in the tavern and you're launching out to kill the big monster, you woke up in the cemetery. You had left the tavern to go fight this thing. It killed you, and death itself has resurrected you. So as you go through these quest lines, we give you items that you can carry, a character sheet that'll give you basically your stats, and those will increase with you as you attend each individual thing. When you go to different things, get different items. We'll give you little chips that'll represent your item and what that stands for, or cards depending on what is easier to print and cost efficient, obviously. But these things all carry over. And it's a function of something that we used to have in San Antonio for PAX South called True Dungeon. And it was a live action dungeon that crawl that you do. And you carried all these items with you, and you could create characters with specialized armor, special skills and magic, buffs and power-ups, healing potions. You carried it all with you.
Sweet. Would this be something that because you're saying that you'll be able to keep your stats? It sounds like something that would be kind of difficult, that would be kind of like paper-esque. Do you think there's a possibility it could go mobile, or maybe an app kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, I have a buddy of mine by the name of Rick De Leon that's going to be working on a mobile aspect of this, just so we can make sure that everything can funnel into an app. So if you don't want to keep your paper stuff, then the app will allow you to hold it there.
Man, that's the future right there, man. That sounds really cool.
It's time to be interactive. I understand the Valley is usually about 10 years behind everyone else.
Yes.
I've been working in media, television and radio and digital stuff since 2010-ish.
Yeah, about 2009.
Yeah, and honestly, it's time we catch up to the rest of the world. If Dragon Con can do it and everything, then why aren't we doing it here? There's no reason Philadelphia and New York and Florida and California can have all these cool things and South Texas doesn't.
Yeah, that's what actually pushed me in the direction of doing my the puzzle box that I'm making. I had seen online that puzzle boxes are becoming a little bit more of a commodity. People aren't. I mean, it's in the sense of like escape rooms, right? Because I recently saw that someone that I know got to try out. Atreyu actually. Atreyu.
Yep.
Our boy Atreyu, man, got to do the Saw escape room in Vegas because he just moved to Vegas.
Yep.
And while I've never heard of it. I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, dude, someone got to chop their leg off. I need to see this.
Yeah.
And, seeing it, and that it's the first introduction of the movie. They do chain you up. You have to find a way to get an unlock key to take the lock off. In my mind, I was like, bet I could make one of these easy, dude. So like my mind started popping off. Like I want to do a Stranger Things one. I want to do a Sith. A Sith. What are they called? Not the pyramid. What are they called? The obelisk.
Datacron?
Yeah, the triangle, right?
Yeah.
The big pyramid that they have. I want to make one of those digital so that I can do it. So the thing is right now I'm creating a mobile escape room.
Okay.
And it's all Batman themed because I'm not a huge Batman fan, but I'm a fan of the history of Batman and the story it's told over the years. And the thing is we've had a bunch of iterations of Batman, and I want to try to combine all of those together. I want to combine every one of them. I'm giving tribute to the Adam West Batman, the Ben Affleck Batman, the Christian Bale Batman. I'm putting them all together on the same, even the Robert Pattinson one. I'm putting them all in the same timeline, that they are all the same Batman that's just going through time. And it all equals out to a really fun story, I hope.
And honestly, with the direction you're going with it, I mean, I know off air I got to see a little sneak peek of it, and I swear to God, Chris, if that doesn't end up a song, I'm going to slap you.
Man, I have I'm introducing a jump scare and some really cool technology that I'm putting all together. I'm really racking my brain in the idea of me being a tinkerer. I think you've known this about me for a long time. I've been doing the cosplay scene for a lot of years, and I build some crazy shit. But if there's anything that I like to do more is just tinker with stuff. And this has really pushed my brain to its limits. But
I think the Batman mythos itself lends itself to allow you to create within a universe that exists. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's true crime noir if you allow it to be. I know that the basis everybody's like, oh, Batman's a superhero. He can beat everybody with prep time, whatever the hell. But the base story for me is that Batman is a detective. Like he has to solve a mystery. every time. And we don't get to see that a whole lot, in the films especially.
And the cool thing about it, I'll give like a little hint, is like even in this story that I'm creating with my escape room, you're not Batman in it.
Yeah.
You're a detective that's brought in to solve a case that was made for Batman to solve. So like everything that a character comes in and does or explains or says or leaves like a clue or something, it's all in the idea that it was meant for Batman, not a Bruce Wayne character, not a Robin, not anything. It's literally meant for them to fight or them to cause chaos in Batman's life.
Right.
And it's so cool because I even bought these like little cool badges that say like special officer. So like when you come into the event, you come into the escape room, you get to put the little badge on, and it's like a solid metal thing. I wanted to get Gotham Detective badges, but they were a little pricey. Those will
well, think about it. If you get the little special ones made, they're GCPD SOs. They're SOs and the GCPD, special officers. And what that entails is up to you, I guess, when you figure out the mystery.
It's got a lot of cool turns on it. I'm really excited for how we're going to play it off. Hopefully in the next couple of conventions, I get the opportunity to put it out there. I've approached, of course, I talked to Ramsey about it a little bit. And what's cool is that everybody has the same mindset in the sense that they feel that there needs to be an evolutionary change in the convention scene. Like there needs to be something a little bit more.
Well, we've all been around each other for so many years. I mean, I started off with my first show in about 2011, 2012, and I think we predated Ramsey by 2 years before he did the first South Texas Comic Con and the first Horror Con. Hell, I remember working his first Horror Con with him. Mm-hmm. So, we've been around long enough to know that we can keep doing what we're doing, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And the fans deserve more from us, and as showrunners, we can look at each other all day and say we're paying the bills and we're making what money we make, and that's fine and dandy. But we're creatives also, we want to make something new in our style and, enjoy it ourselves and be proud parents of a brand new creation. So we're kind of forced and enticed to make different things. You see when you do your stuff, when you create these.
Think about it. Like, who would have ever thought that we would have passed the line of having like a William Shatner, Ray Fisher, John Wesley Shipp, like those type of names, Norris. Like those type of names here in the Valley when it comes to the nerd culture. Back in the day, we would always go for like television actors, and now it's like big film actors that are like big money. Like now, the next kind of cusp into the evolution that I see would be having it to where like if we bring in DC, they show us a trailer of a movie that has never been seen before, or a video game company that is debuting a trailer for a game that hasn't been announced. Yep. It's getting to that level where the Valley is finally getting conventions to that level. But there's just that entertainment part that it's like, okay, you get to the convention, you see all your friends, you see all the tables, you see a panel or two, you see all the actors, but you still got 4 or 5 hours left to get that $35, $40 out of your system. Yep. What do you do? Like other conventions, they usually have like some huge hotel connected to it. So everyone goes to the after party, swimming and drinking, debauchery, like all over the place, like just crazy things like Willy Wonka's Playland all over the place.
Yeah.
But the Valley, we really don't get that kind of option here. Like it's,
honestly, I think the last time we saw something like that was in San Antonio before PAX South disappeared. Mm-hmm. They have their scavenger hunt you do with your badges. Yep. You can enter their academy. You watch D&D live. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of things that we don't get further south because most people think of South Texas and San Antonio is where they stop. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole nother world 4 hours plus down that we're missing out on.
I have to ask, because knowing that you guys are going to be doing like a live Dungeons and Dragons style convention, the Monster Con convention or Monster Hunter convention, are you guys gonna have giant dice that you're gonna get to roll around?
And we are going to have a bunch of weird props. We're already
That would be
working on
so rad.
hiring actors to be, our main characters. We have a big bad that we'll be creating. That I don't want to give the storyline away. That's actually based off of an old D&D book I read in the Dragonlance world. And
Very nice.
Dragonlance came out of the 80s into the 90s and stopped being produced in the early 2000s. And I loved this world because it focused on Dungeons and Dragons as not just magic and monsters, but what each individual person could contribute to the overall story. What your class did, what your personality did, your ex loves, who your parents were. They focus so much on each individual's history. And I think that's where we are as a culture now. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, we love the idea of all the geek stuff we love. We really do. But every one of us wants to be more a part of it. That we want to have that special connection. I personally love All Might and the idea of him in My Hero Academia, not just because he's a badass, because yes, he is, but but I got to watch him be amazing to my son. When it's one of the first animes I sat down and watched with him, and the fight with him against Nobu is historic for us. We watch it almost every week. And I had to recite the line, stop me, you've heard these words before, show you what it really means to go beyond plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
Yeah, knocks them into the air. It's all wonderful, but that's that connection. I get to relive that moment. I watch my son play with those toys, and in my head, he sees me as All Might, and he is Deku. And I'm passing on all my loves and all my training and all my things that I've learned to him. And that's what I want to make sure people in the Valley are getting from the show. Yes, you're coming in and you're experiencing all this cool stuff, but at the same time, you can pass on all this info.
Hey, it's my little sister. Megan, I haven't seen you in forever. Love you. I miss you. You and Nico, Drew. The Minions movie I haven't seen, but what was really crazy? The meme of the Minions that's going around.
The gentlemen
showing up.
Yeah.
So they've been banned from certain theaters. They haven't later on allowing
theaters, man. That stuff costs money. I mean, I get the idea. If they had been cool about it, showed up in a tux and watched the movie, like maybe had a banana split or something, rock on. But I mean, don't tear up the bloody place.
Yeah, don't tear it up. That's funny, man. That's hilarious. I don't even know where that idea came from. It's just that it has to have been a TikTok thing at some point. If it's not, then I'd be sorely disappointed. It's because the Minions movie and Gru is for sophisticates. It's for the established gentleman core.
The gentle Minions.
I would love to see it. The Gru movie and Minions have always been really great. Can't wait. Like I said, Megan, we miss you. But yeah, dude. It's very interesting that you say, and you're talking about the Dungeons and Dragons and the Monster Con, because something that's going on really big right now in the world is something that we had a really cool opportunity to finally get to see, which was the finale of Stranger Things. And I haven't heard from you in a while. And before we go into the conversation, because I do want to ask you about it, because you're a huge D&D fan. And I mean, you're a DM, you're a dungeon master, like you do everything in dungeons. But I want to make an announcement because I've already reached out to Rick Diaz, who was the cinematographer for episode 9, which is the whole Eddie playing the guitar. He worked on the film. He's from Sherryland. He's from here. And right now I just hit him up like Wednesday. He said that he's on a project for 6 weeks, but after the 6 weeks is up and he's done with that one, he is definitely coming back on the show. We're going to talk about the episode. We're going to talk about all the cool shit he got to do.
Well, I mean, the shots alone, before we get into the D&D nerd side of it, man, nothing. I mean, I'm hoping everybody's seen this thing by now, because I mean, I'm going to
drop straight. Guys, if you haven't seen Stranger Things, you're living under a rock. It's probably one of the greatest things on the planet. It's amazing, and everyone's talking about it for a reason.
Yeah, so the entire idea of the way a campaign runs, as a dungeon master myself, when you build these storylines for players, you want to hit their background, their story they give you, and make sure it has either the redemption arc that they need, or that expansion to their story. And we see that in Eddie from episode 1 that he's in all the way to the finale. It's amazing to see him grow and give you the line that I didn't run away this time. And
Yeah.
you see him playing the guitar, and he's holding his own, and then he stands against the demo bats, and he's fighting these things off with the trash can that's his shield and his huge spear. Which, mind you, as a D&D nerd, I was like, okay, attack of opportunity, and I was calling all these rules that don't matter to anybody else but me while I'm watching this thing. And then for him to say, "I love you, man," and go out as a hero was amazing. And then to have Dustin say that same thing to his uncle, like, oh, it broke my heart. I'm such a sap.
It tugged at the right heartstrings. Like, of course, I bet you've heard of it already. That there's this crazy theory that a lot of people are talking about him being Kaz, the vampire prince.
Yes.
Where he is apparently going to be resurrected by Vecna and turned into like his general, only to like screw him over in the end.
Well, in D&D lore, the official lore.
I mean, that is pretty elaborate to D&D. But I keep telling people that it would be unpoetic and un-Shakespearean if they did that to this character. Because the writing of this character alone, by far, that's one of the greatest writings of a character I've ever seen in a show. Like through and through. Like from beginning of him being this like I mean, the character he portrays is like a bard, where like he's whimsical, he's funny, he's silly, he's a little.
If we're looking for another piece of media, he's Jaskier from The Witcher. He's fun, he's goofy, he's kind of a coward. But when it all hits the fan, he's there. He stands his ground. He fights. And as far as D&D lore goes, Vecna does have the vampire general, that lord is his right hand man, and Vecna is a necromancer and dark magic, and he has his hand as a magical item, his eye as a magic. It's a whole world of story we can get into. And he does betray Vecna in the end. So I don't personally believe he'll come back as actual Eddie. I do think Vecna will make some type of horrible memory or some dark version, like you saw when Max was seeing her brother all over the place. Some dark memory, some nightmare that he's using.
But you know what? Like, I have this opposite feeling where they're going to use it as like a spirit guide for Dustin, because these kids are going to be older by the time they get into the next season. Like, these kids are already in college. You know what I mean? Like I think they're all like 18 already.
Yeah, and I do think it as far as story-driven stuff, if we stayed with Eddie being dead and everything, I think it's important for Dustin to have that connection. Because right now, as a character, Dustin doesn't really connect to anybody. Eddie was his person. That was his hero. That was the person he believed in and trusted in, and he lost. And we look at that with a lot of the kids. Mike is stuck with Elle. If Elle disappears, Michael has really nothing.
Yeah, he was very underutilized in this series.
Yeah,
this season he kind of I get like he played this like heart story for it and whatnot, but it was a little weird. Like, he was very not a part of the squad. Like, Will, of course, had this like big story about him that they have that hidden part of his life, which is a very smart way of doing that part of the story. Which is, of course, it's like an LGBT style story, but you have to remember this is in the 80s during like the AIDS epidemic. So like he couldn't really be like super out and open about that lifestyle.
We even see how lifestyle in general is rougher in that time frame. I mean, a big part of Dungeons & Dragons, and we're all explained this when we're coming into it, is the satanic panic. Back in those days, it was dark rituals and horrible things, and we were all summoning the devil by playing these games, and that's the reality of it. So Stranger Things shows you that, the Hellfire Club, which is just a fun name basically for their campaign that they're running going against Vecna, which is a official published campaign, was summoning the devil, and we're all going to hell for it.
So Megan asks, what about Steve? And what she's probably meaning is, with Dustin, Steve played a huge part of his life in the previous season. Like, they got but I think it kind of got him to be a little bit more grounded, not so full of himself.
Yeah, I think with Steve wasn't Dustin's person to grow with. Dustin was important to Steve. Steve, came back down to earth. He could see what other people needed of him. And I think we see that in this current season. Robin really leans on Steve for, confidence and, how do I do things? Can I ask her out? How to be an individual instead of pretending, I keep seeing on TikTok that, single mom Reba McEntire song played over, Steve just smiling and with his hands on his hips. But that's what he's become. He's become the party's dad.
He's like everybody's cheerleader.
Yeah,
he's like
there
everybody's
to
cheerleader.
encourage for you. He's going to fight for you. He's going to do everything he can to make sure you are okay at the end.
But I digged the fuck out of all their looks at the ending of like in the big plan at the end. Steve looked like the main dude from Terminator. Reese? Oh yeah. Nancy looked like Sigourney Weaver. Robin
and the shotgun and everything.
Dude, everybody just had like this super cool look, man.
Yeah, I do like the fact that Robin had that freaking hat. It was
the beret, right? It's a beret.
Yeah.
Everybody just had such a cool look. Nancy's a horrible shot.
Oh, massively
horrible shot.
But she sawed off the shotgun for a reason. She was gonna get in his face and not spray and pray. She was in a point blank.
Yeah, she knew what's up. She wanted to get up close and personal.
Yeah, I like some of the comments. Shayna says that she thinks Billy was arguably Kaz already. Because Billy was Vecna's technically right-hand man and everything, and in the end he betrayed him to save Max and
to save Max
on that thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that, Shayna. That was a good call. Hell yeah. Max, of course, the actress did such a great job. The boyfriend also, such an awesome way to go, man. But that's why I think like Eddie's character had a whole beginning, climax, a show of heroicness, and then a passing. It's like the hero's sacrifice.
Like, and honestly, that's inspiration. That's the ability to.
If anything, he's going to be Dustin's All Might.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it in the sense of the hero's journey, that's going to make Dustin the next like.
I love you, man. It's like that's what you needed. Yeah. It kicked me right in the heart balls. Like there's no way around it. Like I teared up.
Super crazy. I remember. So the first part of the season came out, right? The first like 9 episodes, or I was like 6 episodes of the first chapter. And I kept telling people, I was like, man, it sucks. Like I really wanted to see that shit in the trailer where that dude's on top of the fucking bus playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And fuck, that did not disappoint.
No, it did not. The only thing for me as a D&D fan, there's certain songs that connect to Dungeons & Dragons. And I would have liked him to be playing Dio, Rainbow in the Dark, instead of Metallica. Okay. I mean, mad respect to Metallica and Master of Puppets. It makes sense for Vecna what he does. But Rainbow in the Dark or Holy Diver from Dio would have been awesome.
Holy Diver would have been cool. But he was so like, and then the meta part where it wasn't just like him playing just the guitar, then the drums kick in, then fucking like the song literally starts playing, and it changes the theme of the entire situation. Like it just turns into like amazingness. That entire cinematography, the colors, the scheme, everything about it was like,
the lightning in
that
the
was
background.
Literally like every metal CD case and cassette case like you ever owned growing up.
Oh yeah, no, the Master Puppet CD that I have, AC/DC Live, like all of them had that similar cover, and I can't get past the idea just as a Dungeons & Dragons mechanic. Bardic inspiration is a huge thing. A bard will sing a song, and usually when you're sitting at a table, your buddy's sing something goofy or your buddy's sing some lyrics that he knows. But in your mind, it's this epic overture of the actual music playing. You're running in sync to the music, and you're gaining this inspiration, this ability to go on and go further than you should. And the cinematography shows that. It gives you that utter excitement, that holy crap, the bats are coming. This is phase 3 of this plan. Will phase 4 go off with a hitch? What's going to happen? It increases that. And it shows, just from a direction for the show, how important music is, how important lighting is, effects, and just the commitment of these actors to create these scenes. Because like I said, as a DM, you're sitting at a table with a bunch of people that are wanting to play this game, and they give their all to it. It's an important moment for them.
Yes, it is, man. And it paid off so well in the end. So fucking well in the end. What are your theories about the next season?
Honestly, my theory is we're going to get another big bad. That Vecna is going to be incapable of coming back in full form. But there's something else out there. Because the world, the dimension itself existed prior to one getting there. So something was ruling over it. It's a dimension of predators, and the Demogorgon is not the top of the chain, nor is that Mind Flayer. If it was, it would have been way harder for those kids to kill the bloody thing. So in true D&D fashion, I think that the painting that Will did is foreshadowing. You know, either we're going to get Tiamat, which is a 5-headed dragon deity in D&D, and she's the goddess of evil dragons, and she's a war deity, and she's just this massive beast of a thing that rules one of the circles of hell around Vecna. Or we're going to get another large dragon-esque creature that's going to appear, and it's going to take everybody to fight it, and Max will come back some way, or hell, Max will be the juice that brings this monster into play. Because the doors are open, you know, the Upside Down has access to the normal world, as you see at the end of this show, and Max technically died but didn't. So there's this weird middle ground, and I do think she's a massive part of it.
See, and that's because I thought it was a little bit different. Like, my brain went to when Max died, the gates removed, it opens up, which means Vecna got his last kill.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the very end, we end up seeing that Max is in a coma, and 11 is very nonchalant about it, kind of unemotional. And the reason why is because I think 11 found a way to give a part of her like life essence, and it being like a part of her soul, to bring the body back. But I think that the body of Max is like a vessel that Vecna's going to use. And they're going to make Max like a person of evil, but like where he can take her body since his body's damaged.
I could see something like that. We do have precedent for it. When season 1 happened, Will was possessed by the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer. I mean that those particles possessed the Demogorgon and Demo Dogs. You know, this season. So I do see it. I like what Megan's saying here. That we see Will connecting with Vecna out of sympathy. You know,
out of sympathy.
Yeah, I like the idea because Will's lost. He obviously, like she's saying here, has some type of desire for Mike, or, you know, I'm not too sure if they're going to go the full on, this is just a gay love story or what, but there's something there that Will needs to show. And he may be either seduced or corrupted by Vecna and taken over.
And even in a way, they do kind of correlate to each other a lot through the story. Yeah. Like a lot of the way that they were both like when one was a child, like how the father said he was soft. And then Papa, of course, you know, got to him because he had this special ability. I mean, Will hasn't technically shown that he has special abilities, but he does possess some type of connection, a natural connection to the Upside Down.
Yeah, you know, so, I do think we see the signs of Will having abilities. One, you know, we saw it this season with Vecna. When he was a child, he was drawing the Mind Flayer. He was seeing it. Mm-hmm. Will had the same thing. Before the Mind Flayer had even gotten out, Will was drawing it. And then on top of that, even though the Mind Flayer is gone, Will's still seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will is feeling it. The back of his neck prickles. You know, he has, I don't know, a detect evil or something going on with him that he can feel this thing.
And then not only that, like at the ending, you had that really cool shot of like Hopper and the mother, Nancy and the brother, and then 11 and Mike. And then you had Will Robert by himself in the front. Robert's just causing drama.
It should be Doja Cat. Well, they do have the drama going on right now.
Yeah, Doja calling out poor Nathan Snaps, Mr. Will himself.
Yeah,
the world's gonna protect Will from Doja Cat. Who would have thought that would be something, right?
Yeah, that's the weirdest connection I've seen so far. But hey, I mean, it works, I guess.
But yeah, that last shot was super interesting because it kind of made it feel like Will is going to be the forefront, and these three couples all play a factor in this big ending. Dude, Topper or what's his name? Fucking Hopper, the fucking cop guy.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy turned into fucking Conan the Barbarian.
Straight up. Even used the actual sword, which
The sword from Conan, the actual sword, the original fucking sword. And I was super like, dude, what the fuck is going on? He's in Russia and he just found a fucking Conan sword in the middle of this gladiatorial arena against like supernatural dogs.
Well, part of me will kind of give it. They're beside China. They make most of these things over there, anyways. Yeah. Excuse me, my dogs are barking. Give me 1 second here.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was just so crazy because I mean, from the very first season, they've always had this like different paths of different storytellings where like the kids are doing like a Goonie story, the teenagers are doing like a supernatural story, and then the adults are doing like an X-Files story.
Yeah.
Where in this one, it was like, in this one, I have to ask, how did it feel seeing the series go from 45-minute episodes to a straight 2.5 hour, like literal, like Marvel film, like literally
I had to watch 2 movies to finish these things off. Yeah. You know, I think it was important to do it this way. And from a general public standpoint, it was dumb. You know, most people bitch and moan like, oh, I got to sit here for 2 hours. I mean, the benefit, you can pause it and go pee here. But I think if we cut it up into mini episodes, it would have become frustrating because we would have hit 45 minutes and like, oh, okay, to be continued. 45 minutes, oh, to be continued. But letting us just plow through it, just go through the entire expense, and then getting that final scene where they're all standing on the hilltop and they're all looking together, and you see that all their stories have now converged, that they're all together now, felt right. Like it felt like it was supposed to finish that way. The penultimate battle has been done. Going forward, whatever happens now is the end. This is the final battle. Hell's gates have opened. We're going to stand here together. You know, the kids have gone through horrible things and gotten here. The adults have survived their individual losses. I mean, like Joy said, that she had the funeral for Hopper and she doesn't want to bury him again. So you saw everybody lose something here. Yeah. And it's important.
So are you anticipating the Army of Darkness Evil Dead mix now into the limelight or what? Because that's how I see it now, is they've touched on tropes on every horror style film, and the only thing that left is that Eleven's cabin looks like the cabin from Evil Dead.
Actually, yeah, it does.
And now that the world kind of has like a gate of hell open,
there's a bunch of deadites running around.
Yeah, it's literally Army of Darkness. So now we just need Steve needs to get his hand cut off and it changed into a metal one or an axe
not even. Just have Bruce Campbell drive on in, random ass cameo.
Dude, that would be awesome if Bruce Campbell was in it.
Yeah, just have him say "Hail to the King, baby," and fire off a shotgun.
And we can get one Sam Raimi episode, just one. Just let him come in and let him get freaking. I don't know. Let him do the whole darkness chasing someone, WandaVision style around the staircase. Did you get to watch Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness? I haven't even asked.
Of course, yeah.
What did you think of that one?
You know, I watched your review of it, and I know you had a ton of issues with it.
I shit all over that movie.
Yeah, dude. You did. You even shit.
I'm gonna call that movie diapers, man. I shit all over that.
I liked it from the standpoint of a Sam Raimi fan. You know,
definitely.
What he did with it as making it horror, making it scarier, and giving us those visuals that basically was Evil Dead Marvel version. I loved it all. And I got to give you hell because you shit on possibly my favorite scene as a band nerd. You shit on the music fight scene.
It was Fantasia. It was fucking Fantasia. It's literally Mickey Mouse.
Beautiful. You can't get it.
Literally Mickey Mouse versus a wizard. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But it was cool. I mean, for a moment, it was cool.
I was watching him do it. It was great. And each composition of music was meant to be a distortion of what it actually was. You know. Yeah. They used pack of bells, and instead of it being a march and getting you excited, it was meant to do harm. And that's a different variation of the music. And listening to it in music theory going through my head
definitely. I was like, when I was watching it and I was seeing that the evil Doctor Strange was using minors and he was using major scales and everything sounded nicer, I was like, all right, I mean, I get it. But they look like little Chinese stars. What the fuck is going on?
But that is totally a Sam Raimi
trope,
visual trope. You know, he gives us that. Like if you look at Drag Me to Hell, when the Lamia appears, the trees move with the music. He's expending this force for you to enter the scene, and I think that's what we're getting through that entire movie. But yeah, I enjoyed it for a whole other type of reason. You shit on it for a whole other type of reason, which usually happens. I love something, you hate it, and we're in the middle on this one.
The third eye is the Eye of Agamotto. What the movie consisted of was what is it? The Book of Ashanti, not the Book of Ashanti, but the other one, the Darkhold.
Yeah, the Darkhold. It allows him, basically in the comic, if I remember correctly, it allowed him to start seeing the incursions from the dark dimensions. Like Dormammu, he can actually see them coming into now. That's how he experiences Nightmare for the first time. How he gets called into place, how to deal with Morbius and all that ridiculousness.
I literally think that the only reason why that shit appeared was because Sam Raimi just wanted to put an eyeball coming out of someone's shoulder, like Army of Darkness.
Yeah, he does it in every movie, somebody's hand or arm or something. Yeah,
he needed to have like an eyeball pop out of somewhere. Like, it's just Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, for me, there is no replayability. My boy Alexander in the comments right now is a huge Doctor Strange fan. Probably the best Doctor Strange cosplayer that we have down here in the Valley. He's a huge Doctor Strange fan. But like, okay, let me tell you something. One of these days, Marvel's gonna fuck up and hire me. Like, they're gonna fuck up and hire me, and I'm just gonna make things happen.
And on that day, we'll get just a Ben Grimm story.
Yeah, literally just Ben Grimm walking through the streets, just saying clobbering time. Like, that's all I'm gonna do. Just one solid 4.5 hour movie.
Out there just chilling on Yancey Street. That's all he's gonna be doing.
Yancey Street, beating up kids. Why did they do that to Black Bolt? Like, why didn't they just have Lockjaw pop in and take him away?
I honestly, from a storyline perspective, there was no bloody reason to do it. From a visual perspective, they wanted to show what Wanda was capable of, because she changes reality, and that's her power. Yeah. People think, oh, she levitates things, she shoots bolts, she can cast spells or whatever. No. Wanda's not a witch.
She changes reality.
Yeah, she's a focal point in reality. She's a nexus being. So when she says things change, they change.
Yeah,
so
I
the
keep
line
telling people, like,
was solid as hell when she said what mouth. I was like, oh shit.
What's really cool about Wanda's character in the comics, and I think they should flesh it out more, but they need to bring in like a really good writer, is the fact that she cannot discern what reality is from her reality to her imagination.
Yeah.
Like, to where if she thinks pigs fly, like pigs are actually flying, and she's like, what? Like, how is this real? Like,
yeah, I think the best representation of that concept in the comics was from the Ultimate storyline. Mm-hmm. That she's staring down Loki after Loki's just decimated New York with his army of giants. And she says, somewhere in the multiverse is a universe where you're a seal being clubbed to death, and I'm going to find it. And that's the power.
And she speaks that into reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, she speaks that into reality. I think my favorite Wanda moment would have to be the Hawkeye death and Disassembled.
Oh man,
that was fucking horrible. Out of nowhere, like, the Avengers are just chilling out. The Kree like just fly in out of nowhere. Kree invasion. Hawkeye runs out of arrows and literally says, "I'm not supposed to go out like this." And he grabs one of the Kree dudes and flies him into the motor of the fucking jet. Remember? And he just explodes and it just kills him. And then
that goes into House of M, and I probably could talk about
he comes back to life.
It just hits her with the arrow, like, you killed me. It's like, oh,
yeah, he's like, well, dude, that was horrible. That was so fucking wild, man. The other thing that gets shit on really hard in the Wanda story is Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets it the worst in the House of M story. Like, he gets like Glenn back, he gets a baby daughter, like he's got a whole ass life, and then here comes fucking Logan, Wolverine, the bubble blower of everybody's life.
Yeah,
sorry man, this shit ain't real, dude. She died in reality.
When I remember reading the Amazing Spider-Man House of M storyline, and what hurt me the most is Peter is always getting boned. He's always getting these false wins. It's a fake win, and for him to be sitting in front of the team. And he comes to the realization that Mary Jane succeeds in life if he's not part of it.
Yep.
She becomes this amazing actress. She has a great family. She has a beautiful life. If he just fucked off, that's horrible. That's I mean, and it makes sense that when they finally come back and he breaks the table in Iron Man's office and he says, "Just take the memory away." And he's asking Strange to pull that memory out. because it's the realization that if he just wasn't there, she'd be okay.
And that's the thing is like, if he wasn't there, fucking the one above all, the god of like the Marvel universe, like shows up at his doorstep. Never has the one above all showed up at anyone's doorstep.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey man, let me take you on a journey of why you need to be Spider-Man.
Like, well, no, I think that Thor said it best in the Battle of the Nine Realms story arc. You know, Spider-Man's asking, you know, I understand why you brought Logan, why you brought Captain America and Iron Man and all these heroes, but why am I here? And Thor looks at Peter and says, because out of all of us here, you're the most human.
You're the most human.
And yeah, to take that as a compliment. And that's something, you know, Peter has always been. He's been the everyman. I mean, he gets his ass beat and he still can't pay the bills at the end of the day. You know, he's
and Tom Holland is doing fairly well at portraying him.
You know, I have to agree, and I can't wait to see what he does now that he doesn't have, you know, the mass murdering suit from Iron Man.
Oh yeah, no kidding. The set to death, or what is it?
Yeah, just insta kill.
Insta kill.
Hold on, I gotta.
How do you feel
Jorge
about
here a shout out? And I pray to God it is not Morbin time, Jorge. That's gonna kill me, dude.
It's Morbin time. I love it, dude. No, you know what's I have to laugh at that, dude. You know what's even more cooler than that is they got a petition signed, right? To bring Morbius back to the theaters a second time.
Yeah.
And it fucking failed horribly.
You see,
only to make a third petition that said, I'm sorry, we were all busy that weekend. Can you bring it back and we'll go see it? Dude, I'm like, fuck, man. Dude,
so from a marketing standpoint, did it flop with re-release numbers? 100%.
100%.
It flopped, with the way numbers are technically calculated. But it banked either way. The second release still brought in some people to come see it in theaters that did not see it before. Digital streaming jumped through the roof. People were buying it off. Yeah,
everybody watched it on
Voodoo and everything else. Yeah, so it still made money. And if they brought it back a third time as a marketing push, I would get Jared Leto to come in again, have a special shout out before the movie and have him say the fucking line. Have him just say, it's Morbin time.
It would be awesome.
Because everybody would pay just to see that.
Because Jared Leto, man, he started a cult once. Like that fucking dude started a cult once.
I mean, we saw what he did with Joker. We knew
I want to know, I want to know if he understands what memes are. Like, I want to know if he really gets the joke. If he's like, this is a bad movie, but I don't know.
This is worship for him at this point. Yeah.
Like, the internet's just mean as fuck. For what it's worth, Morbius in that movie would decimate Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's so overpowered with different like things that he could do. It's ridiculous how strong that dude is.
But in the comics, Morbius was just as strong. I remember the comic series Venom Enemy Within, when Eddie Brock goes to fight Morbius. And Morbius had sonic screeches. He controlled an army of goblins, along with the super strength, the energy sapping from his hands. Morbius as a character is maximum 90s ridiculousness.
Yeah, he's the Silver Age of Marvel Comics, man.
Yeah,
like
he might as well be Cable with all the fucking pouches on
with all the guns and pouches, and he's that guy. He was the silliness of the Clone Saga of the '90s Spider-Man.
Yeah,
because that is confusing as fuck, dude. It's
which
so
I
bad.
still like Ben Reilly as the Scarlet Spider, and I still like that we got Doppelganger that came out of the. I think it was not the Infinity War, but one of those wars.
Yeah,
where we got the 6-armed toothy guy.
So how do you feel about Sony coming around doing the Kraven the Hunter now? And
Sony needs to
stop.
Just put the toys down. Let Kevin Feige do what he's going to do and make their money. At this point, I would just give him the car keys. Say I'm gonna chill out in the back. I'm gonna have a drink. Pour something special in my Stripes cup while we go to San Antonio. Just do your thing, man. Because
you just need to hire me, dude.
Yeah, there you go. Just hire me.
The last thing I heard about
this will be great.
Kraven the Hunter is that he's like an animal.
He's Steve Irwin. What in the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
no,
Steve
like,
Irwin. Yeah, he
yeah,
saves animals. I was like, yo,
how?
Hunter is in his name. You know this, right? Like,
Yeah,
he's not Craven the animal lover. He's literally Craven the hunter. He's wearing a fucking lion shirt, man.
yeah, he's
Like
not
literally a
Dora the
shirt
fucking
made of
explorer.
lion.
He's supposed to be out there, hunting heads of these massive monsters, and that's what attracts him to the spider.
Mhm.
He's done the forbidden hunt. He's hunted men, but the spider stops him every time. So he goes to try to hunt Spider-Man. It doesn't make sense for him to be an active. I guess like he's trying to preserve wildlife and things from going extinct. I can give it that angle, but he still has to have things on the wall. I mean, his chest is a lion's pelt and
Yeah,
face.
it's literally a fucking lion t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like the dude literally has lion underwear, man. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, I don't know. But for what it's worth, I think Sony's just trying to scratch at whatever they can to make some type of multiverse kind of thing, or to make their universe a little bit bigger.
Honestly,
From
I think if Sony was to play it smart, they would stop doing things that directly tie to Spider-Man. Like I would make a prison film called The Vault and have all the villains that don't make sense in the rest of the universe be there, and regular guards in mech suits are trying to stop them from getting out. Or the Raft, we get to see that in Marvel Comics. It was mentioned in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I think Endgame, you got to see it, or Civil War, you get to see it when they lock up Cap and his team.
Man and stuff.
Yeah, in there, yeah. The Raft is an important part of the Marvel universe, and there are some horrible ass villains in there. And having an aliens-esque, them trying to stop these horrifying creatures from getting out would be great to see. Instead of focusing on these big names, trying to connect them to a universe that's it's not fruitful to them to do, because Marvel is just going to erase whatever they write. We had Eddie not having a connection to Peter at all, but we get that at the end of Homecoming, or No Way Home, where he's at the bar getting fed this information, and before he leaves a piece of the symbiote behind.
But what's even crazier than that is that we had, of course, the introduction of the incursion, the explanation from the multiverse of madness. Sony isn't playing by those rules. You know that, right?
Right.
So you look at the way that they did it with Michael Keaton's character, the Vulture. They literally threw him into another universe. The universe itself misplaced him in a different universe.
Yeah, and the continuity is hell, because why did Eddie go back, but the Vulture stayed?
But the Venom, the piece of Venom stayed behind.
Yeah.
Like it's those moments by
Vince,
definition
I would
of
actually
Doctor
watch
Strange.
it.
Stilt, man, jeez, dude, that was Daredevil. He came out in Daredevil.
Yep.
By definition of Doctor Strange 2, those moments would cause incursions.
Right.
Yeah, because those are pieces of another universe that are staying in a universe for too long, or in a different.
So then, let me ask you your opinion. Knowing what you know of the Ultimate Universe and how the comics had their own incursion and Galactus went over and was just devastating. Do you think that Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, has opened up for us to start using comic characters that we haven't seen before and changing history?
I mean, for a good minute, the MCU's been changing history already. And the thing is they're eventually okay. So a lot of these things are new writers taking this material and saying, "Hey, well, you know what? I bet you I can make this better," without knowing the rest of the history. Which is like when the writers wrote the Loki story and they brought in all the Infinity Stones and made them paperweights. But then the What If story came on, made by actual people from Marvel, and they made it to where like the Infinity Stone can travel into many multiverses and still wreck shop. And it's like, well, if you do that, then what stops the next Vision 5 seconds later getting the stone and then doing the same thing, and another Vision doing it, and then a Thanos that stops that one and then gets his, and then the one that Peggy Carter, and then you have like 80 million people with Thanos's glove going around the multiverse, just fuck starting everything. There has to be rules.
We got to see that level of writing in the 90s a lot. We got to see the What If comics. What if Venom attached to Frank Castle and we had a Venom Punisher? Weird storylines like that. And I think the What If animated series will continue and give us those.
Oh yeah.
What if the rules were different here? What if this changed? What if this one moment was different?
Now that you mention it, what's really crazy is the awkward buildup. This is what kind of freaked me out about Doctor Strange 2. And it wasn't that it freaked me out. It was just kind of like, why would you do that? You had this awesome build up for a character of Peggy Carter as Captain America or Captain Britain or whatever they want to call her.
Yeah.
And then you get wiped out in a movie, like literally decimated. I could do this all day and then gets cut in half like 5 seconds later.
No, which broke my heart.
And then, yeah. That's the thing, because they built her so well in What If. They made her into a hero. They made a side story and they built her only to tell you, don't be sad, guys. Peggy Carter's coming back in What If 2. And it's like, well, why the fuck are you going to bring her back? We know Wanda can wipe her out. Just bring us a Captain Wanda then.
See, but that's a Sam Raimi deal. We even got to see it in the Army of Darkness, matter of fact.
Yeah.
We see the Ash clone that comes out of him doing his thing, and we think Ash is dead. But it's the evil one. It's to show us that we can lose anyone whenever, however, because that's the way Raimi does shit. He doesn't care.
And that's because, like, that Wanda wiped out Charles Xavier from the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, which I think is crap. First of all, the 90s cartoon thing, I love the fact that they gave him the little wobbly waves when he used his mind powers.
They gave him the chair. They gave him the song. I mean, the only thing they didn't have is a fucking Hank McCoy walk him out. Like,
if Hank had walked out and said, if Hank had walked out and said, "Oh, my stars and garters," I would have peed.
That's the only thing they didn't have. And man, Wanda wiped him out. The only thing that could have topped it, that would have, this would have made me happy if Michael Fassbender would have came out and had a moment, and Wanda was like, "I don't even know who you are," like the Thanos line. Because she never knew that Michael Fassbender was her father. That to me would have been a little poetic. But the thing is how. Again, this is what I talk about when I say the MCU changes history so much by a lot of these new writers thinking that they can make masterpieces out of masterpieces already. How can they do House of M now?
Honestly, and I think this will tie all the way back around to our D&D original conversation here with Stranger Things. So the Darkhold, right? It's this book of extreme evil. I mean, in Dungeons & Dragons, we have its equivalents, the book of vile darkness. It makes the holder the maximum, most evil, most vile version of what they are. And of course, the ends justify the means. No matter how bad you are, you think you're the hero in your own story. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this before, where I felt Wanda's strongest line in the entire film was, "I'm not a monster, I'm a mother." And that's her justification for everything, since she's a mom and she's had the ultimate loss. She's had to lose her babies, which no parent ever wants to experience. She was willing to go that dark and not hold it back. And the other heroes still fought with rules. Reed Richards, being the smartest man in the bloody room, still tried to have a fucking conversation with a monster that murdered her way to them. There was no, she didn't walk in and ask for a parlay or to have a conversation.
She destroyed all the robots.
And she killed everything on the way up there.
She killed everything on the way up.
Yeah,
she was covered in something.
And then she blew up, Black Bolt's face, taking away his mouth. Captain Marvel, which, she died the most BS way possible. She couldn't hold him as Photon. She should at least have been able to take the fucking statue, but whatever. Yeah. And even with Captain Carter, my next ex-wife, she passed away in the film. It's because of rules, because they have their rules. They don't kill. They see this Wanda as a person that they could save.
They did. They killed Doctor Strange.
And Wanda wasn't that anymore. So she does that horrible thing. And like I said, the Book of Vile Darkness does that thing. And we see the book of, and oh my gosh, its name is escaping me, the Book of the Vishanti.
Yeah. That's wiped out like in 5 seconds, dude.
Yeah. And in D&D, we have its equivalent as well, the Book of Exalted Deeds. And that book, it makes you the most good character you possibly be. And they're antitheses of one another. And the Book of the Ashanti got wiped out in that universe. It's other places that exist, but in that one, it's gone. So with Wanda being maxed out in evil, she's just going to do whatever the hell they want. Mm-hmm. So now, as a writer, how do we make a House of M? Well, that Wanda's gone. She's experienced what she experienced. She's giving up what she's giving up. So now we get to see another Wanda have those dreams and see those nightmares and realize, I'm becoming this. And that's what we saw in the beginning of Disassembled, when House of M was just starting and Quicksilver does what he fucking does. Yeah. She rewrites history to make the House of M because of her brother. And I think that's how we jumpstart this. That Wanda now in another universe is seeing this happen. The incursions are happening, so her dreams are going to be more vivid. She's learning from a mistake that she made somewhere else. and she's going to try to fix it, and her brother's going to cause the problem. So we can have a literal House of M because another universe can experience it now.
But that's the thing, like Quicksilver plays such an important role in that storyline, and he's been machine gunned for like the last 15 movies. You know what I mean? Like there's so many missing holes. Like one of my biggest concerns, one of them was of course Thor: Love and Thunder. That came to fruition. Did it pay off for me in the end? No, it didn't pay off for the way that I wanted it to, but I think for the common Marvel watcher, it paid off tremendously.
Yeah, I think the MCU fan, it'll be good.
It'll be good.
Just the films. Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't like, Thor 1. They don't like Thor 2 because it's too fantasy over comedy. And then Taika Waititi came in with Thor Ragnarok and made something that was utterly not good into something that's like the top 3 Marvel movies. But I told people, like, the reason why I think Thor Love and Thunder is better than Thor Ragnarok is because the director didn't have to steal an entire plot line of the Hulk to make this story work.
Yeah.
Like, he literally took it directly from Thor. But since they gave Taika Waititi the directing, since they gave him the pilot seat, like, and he took that story from Hulk, how do you do Planet Hulk? Like, how do you do Planet? That's literally in the rights right now that they've just explained that they're coming to. They want to do World War Hulk. How are you going to pull off a World War Hulk with a Hulk that's like, he literally brought back all of humanity that I got snapped away. He's the savior of humanity. Like, beforehand in the comic books, the Hulk was fucking destroying New Jersey because Betty went on a date with Freddie Prinze Jr. Killed 15,000 people. Remember that?
Yep.
That was like before they launched him into space because they're like, yo, we don't want you here anymore. And then Planet Hulk starts and then World War Hulk starts because the ship explodes and all this stuff. They had a whole purpose. And that is a master class in writing.
Honestly, I think the only way to do it is with the other personalities of Hulk that we haven't seen yet.
The one that they just went through in the comics?
Yeah, so maybe going back and using Grey Hulk, going back and maybe we can use Maestro. The other personalities that we had heavy in, like I said, the 90s or about the comic area we're in now with the MCU. We're starting to see some of those storylines that were vomited out, that are coming to fruition now before we start seeing things like House of M and these big, massive moments that Civil War was ahead of its time for. It shouldn't have happened when it happened, but whatever. So I do think we're going to start seeing that level of maybe mob boss, Joe Chill kind of Hulk.
Well, I was going to say, like, what actually benefits that really well is that's the only vision we haven't seen from the character that Wanda touched in Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
is what she showed the Hulk. Everybody else's that she showed came to fruition. Captain America seeing the Avengers get dominated, Iron Man seeing the invasion, Thor seeing Ragnarok come to fruition. Like, all of those things have come to terms. The only one that we haven't seen is what did she show the Hulk? Yeah, but the reason why, of course, is the wall that's there because of Universal, which I don't know why Universal doesn't like to make money, man.
Universal is
they're hard to play with,
fickle person. Yeah, they don't like playing with anybody. We saw what they did with their dark universe they're supposed to have, and they dropped the ball on that thing, and whatever. But I do think what we're seeing with a Planet Hulk and a World War Hulk is a Hulk that saw what Wanda showed him, and it wasn't him. It was someone else. And he doesn't know how to consolidate that. He doesn't know how to deal with him doing something that's not him.
Are you kind of caught up with the Hulk storyline? Did you see like the Mothership Hulk and all that stuff that was in the comics? That was kind of silly, man. I ain't gonna lie.
The problem I have with the current Hulk comics is they're trying to supernaturally explain what was trauma to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most relatable part of Bruce Banner, that the mistakes that he was making as Bruce weren't Hulk problems. They were things that he couldn't handle himself. And especially nowadays in a media consuming culture that is really big on mental health, really big on self-care, I think that version of Hulk would make more sense with a mainstream audience than the Hulk we're getting in the comics now.
Yeah.
Where, Bruce wants to be smart Hulk because it's the combination of both personalities, but he has gangster Hulk in him, and he has the world breaker in him, who has a son and has a wife that's passed. There's there's other loves other than Betty out there. You know,
he's got his dad Hulk.
Yeah, Jesus.
He's got Papa Hulk.
You know,
And then
there's a lot
not
of
only
things we
that,
see.
did you see the last one that they were like, well, why can't the Hulk have a Hulk? I was like, stop. God, stop
Yeah,
already.
don't even get me started on was it Clue or Clue or
Cole?
whatever? Yeah,
Cluck
oh,
or
Jesus.
something. I forgot. Yeah, that was so dumb. The thing is right now in the comic book world, a lot of stuff is pretty silly. A lot of stuff is pretty silly. But going back to what we were talking about, we got to go all the way back because we went on a tangent. Doctor Strange 2 wasn't that it wasn't as bad as I said it was. The only thing is it messes up a lot of the story that's already been. The whole thing about what I disliked is Phase 4 has kind of like gone backwards and messed up a lot of like the continuity that Marvel already has created. Right? It does that. Oh, look at the cat. I see your cat, dude.
Yeah, Foo's kind of doing everything. She's trying to get on camera and talk to us, so you're gonna see a weird little
plot
face.
twist. She's Vecna.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, I think Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange Mom basically is the storyline we're going with. Is Sam Raimi saying I can come in and do what I want, and they're gonna let me because I am Sam fucking Raimi.
Yeah.
Which is why we get Bruce Campbell in there, and he wasn't any type of cameo any of us wanted. I wanted him to be Mysterio from another universe. I wanted him to be the Scorpion or something really rad.
I wanted him to be the '90s Doctor Strange, like
That
the
would've
real
been
corny
awesome.
cone cape, like just like
basically the one that was in the
Halloween
statue.
City Doctor Strange.
Halloween City.
Yeah, like I wanted him to be just like, hey everyone, like the David Copperfield Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Like that's what I kind of wanted. There was a lot of theory that he was going to be Balder the Brave, which I was disappointed with because Balder is a huge important role in the Jane Foster storyline because he is the king of the underworld after Hela is not there no more. So he plays a pretty big role also, which there were some interesting stuff that was in the new movie that, you know, I mean, of course, Taika Waititi took a lot of freedoms, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah,
but
I do think when Taika gets a hold of a project, he's going to take freedoms because it's his style. He's not a by the book, by the numbers kind of guy. He's going to create his vision, and and I enjoy that stuff. I watched his series, Our Flag Means Death, and that was by far the most off the wall pirate adventure I've ever seen in my life.
I must ask, because I know how big a fan you are.
Okay.
And we are going to talk about Obi-Wan. I'm going to talk to you about Obi-Wan because I'm going to make you not like that show.
It's gonna be hard, man. I'm all for Jesus Obi-Wan.
Did you hear Taika Waititi asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to be in the Star Wars movie? Did you hear this shit?
Fucking mother of Luke and Leia, Princess Queen.
He straight up goes up to Natalie Portman and is like, dude, I'm gonna make a Star Wars movie. Do you want to be in it? Do you want to be in a Star Wars movie? And she's like,
I was in 3, homie.
Yeah. Oh no, dude, that's so horrible.
Honestly, I can.
Shayna says she heard it was a joke.
I'm hoping.
I pray to God.
You see, but
that was a joke.
I can give the benefit of the doubt to Taika being an asshole because he likes trolling trolls. He loves trolling the trolls.
Well, yeah, he thought Green Lantern was good.
Yeah, so I mean, he was in Green Lantern
movie.
Yeah, so I think there's a level of him playing because I mean, he may have forgotten because I mean, yeah, every so often I forget.
Natalie Portman's only come out in 3 movies in her whole life: The Professional, Star Wars, Black Swan. There's no other movies. Yeah, I know V for Vendetta's in there somewhere, but but 3 movies. That's it. Professional. Sometimes the Star Wars movies, if you want to get technical, when she's like, Anakin, my heart is breaking or whatever. She's like, God, dude, that was so horrible, man. That was so horrible. That's my favorite fucking line in the whole movie. Anakin, I can't believe you. My heart is breaking.
Now, I love the fact that the comic went explained how she died, that it wasn't the whole broken hearted thing, and that the Emperor. I mean, spoilers for the comic if you guys haven't read the bloody thing, but how Emperor Palpatine sucked her life out. Sucked her life out to revive Vader basically and just lied. But yeah, no, that's I think Taika's playing. I hope he's playing. I'm excited to see what he does with a Star Wars universe movie that is not main character storyline driven. It's not a Skywalker saga story. That doesn't have characters that we have to deal with from existing properties.
Existing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because the Star Wars universe lends itself to off-the-wall rebellion and oddball characters. I mean, we see the droid in Rogue One, voiced by Alan Tudyk, and I can't remember that droid's call sign, that he was an Imperial soldier droid and was reprogrammed. You know, that's the type of weird comedy that I think Taika can like really take off with. You know, I think Jane shoots the droid that looks just like him, and he is like, "Did you know that wasn't me?" She's like, "Yeah, I totally knew it wasn't you."
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I totally know that was him.
Yeah, Megan's asking for a Jar Jar story. I was hoping Jar Jar would be Sith at some damn point.
Like, dude, everyone was part of that. When that theory came out, like everyone was like, "Yo, we need this dude that licks lightning bolts to be a Sith, dude."
I need to hear Misa feels her hate. Like I just need to hear it.
That.
Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, K2SO.
K2SO. No, we don't need Jar Jar Binks. Yo, okay. All right, Mike. Let's get into this. I need to know your desire of why you like the Obi-Wan movie.
Obi-Wan was a story of a man that lost faith, the man that lost hope, and that's what we get into the very end when he has his self-realization and then chunks a damn mountain at Darth Vader, wrecks his ass. You know, because you watch this man fail over and over. He's given up. He's cut himself off from the Force, and it's a redemption arc for him.
Okay, so my biggest thing is, first, it's only been 10 years, right? Or how many years had it been since? Yeah, about 10 years, 11 years, because Luke and Leia, they're 10 years old or whatever.
I think they're closer to like 7 or 8, but yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. In 8 years, 10 if we want to be nice to him. This dude was like, "Oh man, dude, I've been training as a Jedi since I was a baby. I'm done, man. Like I'm just here cutting up what fucking desert whale meat. I'm watching over." Dude, he went with a mission. Yoda literally was like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna take care of this kid, and Val Organa, fucking pesto or oregano, is gonna take care of the other child." And while you guys, oregano. Yeah, pesto oregano. And while you're out there, I need you to be training because you're gonna talk to your fucking your dumb master who literally didn't listen to us and raised a demon spawn. Like you're out there on a mission. And 8 years
I gotta say it. I love Qui-Gon, so we're gonna have to defend Qui-Gon on this one. I love that dude. But you know, I consume media different than a lot of people consume media.
Oh, yeah.
I consume media seeing myself and aspects of myself in characters.
Yeah.
You know, where does this make sense with the life I've led? You know, where do I see a connection here? And the situation with Obi-Wan is similar to me as forgetting a skill you had. Not because you weren't strong in it or you weren't good at it, but because you weren't allowed to or you were incapable of following through. So I remember there was a period of time that I used to play moonlight in bands with a bass guitar. You know, I would go on the weekends and I'd moonlight in a Tejano band or in a country band to make money, you know, playing with this whatever sets I could pick up because I needed the cash in college. And you know, and I had to stop doing it.
Bobby's
like, the high ground. How did Luke win? Yeah, the high ground. What did you win? Oh my God! Put that up on the screen so everybody can see that.
Yeah, dude, I was like, "Fucking Bobby, dude, he's gonna come in." Emperor asked Vader, "How did Obi win?" Well, he had the high ground. How did Luke win? He had the high ground. What did you do when you had the high ground? Oh, I threw it at him. That's why you're not the balanced Darth. Jeez, dude, freaking Bobby, man.
Yeah, no, but it's the loss of this tool, this skill, and I think that's what connected me so much with the Obi-Wan story. Because he couldn't train the way Yoda wanted. There was no anticipation for Inquisitors being ex-Jedi that went over that could sense Force-sensitive people that were going to hunt them. You know, he had to not utilize his skill and to disconnect himself to survive, to be there. And you see him using blasters and things that he said were uncivilized before, that he distrusted and hated. And he has to fall against those. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, because when when he gets to the point where he can no longer hide, it's having to relearn a skill, which, like I said, as an ex-musician, as a person that can't really do what I wanted to do in the past anymore, I know it would be a pain in my ass to sit down and relearn how to play a song or relearn how to pluck the strings correctly and, tune that instrument. And I think that's what we see towards the end of Obi-Wan, really him letting loose and just really reconnecting.
Did Shayna put it up, but did you really like that Qui-Gon showed up like at the very end and was like, hey, did I miss something?
No, I really wish Qui-Gon would have showed up earlier. Because like I said, I'm a big Qui-Gon fanboy. But hey, at least I got to see him.
My thing was I wanted Qui-Gon to show up like on the second episode and be like, I heard a kid got kidnapped, and I'm really good at getting kids back when they're kidnapped. The Taken movies, he's like, I'm a Jedi and I have a certain set of skills.
And if you bring him back, that'll be the end of it. And I won't. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so first, they introduce a new character, Reva, right, who is the third sister, who had an interesting story, but is like a fever dream in this entire story, because they bring her in, they introduce her, they put her into this idea that, she out of the entire universe and Darth and Emperor Palpatine, with all the idea of him owning the Senate and the Empire and stuff, she figured out who the kids were, that they were Anakin's children, which it blew my mind that that's something that they were just like, hey, you know what? We forgot to delete that from the archives. And then, of course, later on, Pesto Oregano leaves a crazy message and talks about the boy. And then she's like, bet. And then she had just so happened to harass Owen on an entire fucking planet, because it's not just a little city she lands in. It's a planet that she lands on. And they never explain, literally, oh my gosh. They literally never explain the size of these planets. They only explain the little neighborhoods that they're in.
Yeah, which if anybody that played Star Wars Galaxies back when that was an MMORPG, Tatooine's huge. Yeah,
it's huge. And these are not. these movies are not huge.
Well, first of all, they're set pieces. You can only go so big. We're not going to take over the Nevada desert to recreate Tatooine.
And then and then at the end of the show, after the plot and the characters, thing came out, and she tries to beat up Owen and the wife, and she's not doing so hot.
Which mad props to Owen and Peru. No,
it
shows that A New Hope. Like when they died in that first one, they went out like ballers. They shot up as many people as they possibly could.
Yeah. They the wife, packing some heat. And Owen's over here like, dude, we need to run. All we got is some rakes and shit. And she's over here like, nah, man, I got guns, man.
Pulls up the modified AK and whatever the else.
She literally pulls out the fucking turret gun from the Mandalorian. And yeah, man, they hold their ground against her, and they're dodging lightsaber attacks and all this shit. And then at the end, Reva has a moment, and she doesn't kill Luke. And she brings him back, and he's asleep, or I don't know. I don't even know how that kid sleeps through all this craziness. And then she's there, and she's having a moment, and she looks at Obi-Wan, and she's like, "Am I a bad person?" And Obi-Wan's like, "Nah, man. I mean, you only killed like a bunch of fucking people. You chopped a lady's hand off in front of me that just bad talked you."
I mean, it is Star Wars, and in the grand scheme of the Empire, she's probably on the lower levels of that. I mean, Anakin kind of killed all the younglings. I mean,
she had a fucking icicled version of one, like in her fucking hallway. They just had one, and dude, they didn't even take his hat off. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they didn't even take his training hat off of the kid. Like, my thing is like, is that the Star Wars version of like an action sports photographer? Like, is there a dude that's going around just taking shots of like what is that, amber or I don't know, like petrified water or something? Yeah, I don't know. Petrified wee wee, like pea water or what? That was I guarantee that was either the kid that was like Master Skywalker. What do we do? And right before fucking Anakin stabs his ass, he put his hat back on him. Like, I did not get it. I was
just take the hat. It's like, here, baby. Just wear this.
Yeah, here, put this on.
This is gonna make a beautiful statue right now. Yeah.
And you just have that one fucking dude in the back, whoop, like catching him in the fucking square. Like, wow. I was so confused. I did not know what that was. But yeah, that chick was pretty evil. She was
Yeah,
pretty
no,
evil. She was like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill all these people to get as close as I
so
physically
I'm gonna
can
go
to
the
Darth
route
Vader."
of connecting Reva and how she has this ass backwards redemption arc that I was okay with, because Jedi Fallen Order did that with their sister. I think she's the ninth sister. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But by the end of the battle with Cal Kestis, and once again, if you haven't played the game, it's been out for a few years,
Oh, the
guys.
second sister, isn't it?
Second,
The second sister, because there's one. That's the one before her.
yeah. Yeah, so she has a redemption arc by the end of it as well. She's been battling Cal Kestis this entire time, and she starts seeing the error of her ways. And who shows up just to wreck her
Darth
shit?
Vader.
Darth Vader. And it's that moment when Vader senses weakness, and I think that's what we're starting to see here. That Vader isn't wholly evil, and he isn't wholly good. He's in this weird self-destructive battle that he's taking out on the sisters and the other Inquisitors. And because the second sisters, for some reason, they're able to be turned. Cal Kestis did it, which I was madly disappointed we haven't seen Cal Kestis yet. All I've gotten is a BD.
There is a pretty bad. So that was the thing. Like, I felt like I didn't want them to focus so much, because this story by itself, by bringing back Ewan McGregor, bringing back Hayden Christensen, bringing back the guy that played Owen and his wife, like even fucking Vale Organa, pesto and oregano, even bringing him back, like that's pretty remarkable for them to reach that far and bring a lot of these people back. Fucking Liam Neeson came back to play 5 seconds of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, which he probably made a cool $2 million or so for it. Like
I know what you're saying. I know you like Qui-Gon Jinn, but the dude is like the worst Jedi. Like, he is the fucking like Big Balboski of the Jedi.
Well,
like, literally the oldest Jedi on the planet and the coolest motherfucking Jedi on the planet were like, nah, that kid's too old. Fuck that kid. He's got weird metachlorians. And Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn was like, nah, I got this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, a fucking dude, man. Like, I wonder.
I have to give to Qui-Gon Jinn, with my knowledge of the expanded universe and the comics and all that, the Jedi and the Sith War. The Jedi High Council is blinded to what Palpatine is doing, because they are so focused on being galaxy police that they're not focused on the living force, which is what Qui-Gon's preaching this entire time. He tells Obi-Wan, focus on the living force, be present and all that. Why aren't we doing this? And that's why he refuses to just give in to the council, because they are doing what the hell's his name? Villain from Clone Wars. Oh my goodness.
Oh, which one?
Count Dooku warned him before he left the Jedi. Dooku in the comics warns Qui-Gon that the Jedi are blind to the darkness out there. They're blind to the dark side. So I'm going to go find it. Which is why in the comics and the film, Count Dooku isn't a Darth anything. He's Count Dooku. He's using dark side stuff, but he hasn't fallen completely.
But he hasn't fallen into the Sith order. He's not a Darth.
He's that weird line where people like to talk about the gray Jedi and their abilities and things, because he didn't fully go over. And that's what Qui-Gon represents, at least for me, that he understood that they needed to do good in the galaxy. They had to uphold laws and everything, but they shouldn't have been a police force. They shouldn't have been a Gestapo in essence.
Yeah, Gestapo.
Jedi shouldn't be doing that. And that's why I think he tries to raise Anakin. But Palpatine,
or like religious zealots, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we look at historically, they're the Knights Templar in the Crusades. They're doing good things, but in the wrong manner. And that's where the Jedi were, and that's how Palpatine corrupts Anakin so easily.
Why didn't the writers just come out and have Qui-Gon come out at the end and be like, "Whoops, like my bad. I didn't know he was gonna go this dark. I didn't know he was gonna be that bad."
Yeah, Mulligan.
Yeah, I mean, I understood he had a lot of midichlorians, but like, I didn't understand what that meant at the time. Like, I mean, fuck, dude. I'm telling you this. Okay. The Darth that we got at the ending of the series in the ultimate fight between him and Obi-Wan, when he's super emotional, he's swinging with a lot of hatred. I felt that should have been the first Darth Vader in like the second episode that we got. And the reason why is because it's the first time him running into Obi-Wan after he cooked him like a hot dog.
Right.
Right?
I'm going to go the opposite against you. I think when we got it, we got it because Obi-Wan kept getting away. And the first time is system shock. Like, holy crap, my target is here. What I need is here, and you get gun shy. I'm going to make my point, but do I kill him now? Do I make him suffer?
Yeah, what do I do? I want to make him suffer.
Yeah, so by the end of it, I mean, Obi-Wan has fucked Vader quite a bit. He's run away. The head Inquisitor has been stabbed and run through by one of his own other Inquisitors. He's had to fight Reva. There's all this stuff that's happened. So by the time he gets there, it's just this, I can't take it anymore, and I'm just going to beat you into the ground, which is what I think it leads to Obi-Wan fighting the way he fights. Obi Christ Kenobi just parting the Red Sea and chunking mountains.
Oh, yeah, most def. What'd you call him? Jesus Kenobi?
Yeah, Jesus Kenobi.
It's just one of those things. Like, I feel like, okay, so like the growth of the character, because we know that Darth eventually becomes this very menacing, mature warrior character later on, that he doesn't have emotion when he fights because he knows he's just more superior. But that's the Darth Vader that we got the first time he runs into Obi. Like, he's unemotional. He's like, hello, Obi, I'm finally found you. Now I'm going to make you suffer. And he's kind of like this very nonchalant, tough character against an Obi-Wan that's just scared of what his best friend slash almost son-like character or little brother has become, right?
Well, I think the reason, at least, and mind you, I'm not in the writer's room and I don't know, and I am by far not the most expert in Star Wars, but my opinion is we see that first fight and him being cold and calculated because Palpatine has the leash. Palpatine is holding him on. He's been training him a certain way, doing a certain thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we get to that fight. And at the end, he loses control and he turns back into Anakin. He does his thing. And it's that fight that you see Anakin having with him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And it's that anger, that aggressive, I'm going to hurt you. And then when Palpatine speaks to Vader at the end of the episode,
at the very end, when he's like, hey man, you're really letting your emotions get the best of you. I mean, I know you're a Sith, but
the fuck, that's him pulling that leash again,
he's like, I don't need you to be a Super Saiyan now. I just need you to bring that back a little bit.
I think that's weird.
That's the only reason why I was kind of taken by that, because it makes sense with the character build, because I feel at the very end when Emperor Palpatine is like, Vader, you're being a little emotional.
You're being extra. Drama queen, pull back. Yeah.
But the idea of is like the Sith are supposed to be emotional. They let that rage control them. And, him being able to control it and make him who he is goes right into who he is later on in the series, because he's still that emotionless monster where he just does what the Emperor wants.
We see it. I mean, and I always go back to the comics because the comics delve so much more into the rule of two. And you see it with Darth Bane and Darth Sidious and all the history leading up to here. Mm-hmm. A master must be in control of their apprentice. Yeah, and they got to pull that leash and make sure that the apprentice does not grow stronger. You see Palpatine do it when he's Darth Sidious with Darth Maul. In the Clone Wars series, he goes and he checks Maul. Even when Maul's not even his apprentice anymore, he checks that poor Sith. I don't know how many damn times he's out there running Mandalore and gets his ass wrecked. Palpatine just shows up and beats the hell out of him, and his brother was Oprah Savage or whatever.
Out of all the storylines, I've always thought, because earlier Vince said maybe a Darth Maul series showing the origins, but the thing is Darth Maul had a very great story in the animated series.
Oh yeah, I would not want to see Maul touched again from what they did with the Clone Wars series and then with the Rebels.
And the thing is I feel he was more of the gray Jedi, and he opened up Ahsoka's eyes to being less zealous of the religious aspect of the Jedi, which kind of turned her into like this almost like
this representation of the Force that we get in Rebels, and that's where I think she sits in the Mandalorian series, which I'm hoping we're going to see in her series.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bobby does have a point. Emperor Palpatine does usually have more than 2 Sith apprentices, but he usually pits them against each other. And then we have Vader's secret apprentices that he has, Star Killer and all those guys.
What are the odds we get Star Killer sometime soon?
I want Star Killer to come back, but I want Sam Witwer to play Star Killer.
He's at the age, man.
Yeah, he's the face actor. He was the mocap, and he was the voice. Like I need Sam Witwer to do it, because if he doesn't, fuck
a lot of people do not know that Star Killer's family crest is the Rebels crest. That is his family crest. That circle with the little not spikes, but squares and shit. That is his family crest, because he's one of the original creators of the Rebels story. So like when we're gonna get Andor, which is supposed to be like the birthplace of the Rebels story.
It'd be a good place to.
That would be a really
show
great
off
place
the family. Yeah.
Be like, yo, I know this dude that brought down a Star Destroyer with his bare hands, dude. And they're like, whoa.
We get to see that level of power. Vader shows us in Obi-Wan when he rips that ship down and then sits its ass down and rips the siding off. It'd be a great visual. But I will not accept a Star Killer series unless Sam Witwer reprises a Star Killer. And you can't tell me I'm not going to get it, because they have the guy potentially coming back to play Cal Kestis.
And not only that, like the actor that plays him, what's his name? Sam Whitaker, what is it?
Yeah, Sam Witwer. Yeah.
He literally like is constantly like voice acting the character, doing certain things, like coming in. He's always at conventions, literally reprising his role like every fucking week. And he loves the role.
Yes, he loves Star Killer, and then I love the fact that he's the voice of Darth Maul in the animated series.
Darth Maul in the series.
Yeah, so he's. I know he's game, and he's in good shape. He's at the right age. It'd be perfect.
If they brought back the dude that was Boba Fett, there's no fucking reason they can't bring back Star Killer.
Exactly.
Yo, how did you feel that they finally gave us the remembrance that there was a bunch of clones that were like left out in the Obi-Wan series? With the veteran.
I think it's a wonderful expansion. And we talked about this before, my feelings on Mandalorian and showing the rest of the world, how civilians handle things. And I think that's what we got to see in Obi-Wan. We got to see clones that are just down on their luck. They're still in that stupid armor because that's all they got left.
That's all they got.
And they're just dying on the streets, not eating. And it's just,
I have to put the Betancourt recap, dude.
You know me. I nerd out so hard with this stuff. It's ridiculous.
So I have to know, overall with the Obi-Wan series, like, what did you think from beginning to end? Like, did it keep the flow? Like, were you watching it every episode that came out, or did you wait for the entire season? Like, how did you handle this thing? Because I know for a fact you probably went into your old closet, found all your old Star Wars toys.
Dude, I went and I found my Rogue One novel so I could reread.
You had your freaking robes on. You had it all, dude. You had it all. I know you did. You had your Death Star Lego set. Death Star Lego set.
Just over there, just hugging it in place. Yeah.
Tell me, how did it go for you, man?
Honestly, Obi-Wan for me was a week to week. I watched it as it came out just because Obi-Wan as a character, I enjoy him. I was at an age when the prequels came out that I could see myself there, not knowing and not understanding, and watching Ewan McGregor play this role, a role that, when I was a kid, my older cousin showed me. I remembered him saying hello there. I remember him saying, strike me down and I'll become stronger than ever. I remember these moments. So when this series was coming out, I had to be there week to week. I had to watch it. And it started off slow. I won't lie. From what we're used to and what we expect in a series these days, it was a slow grind in the beginning. How is this going to make sense? Why is he going to leave? And I was upset a little bit too. It's like this Jedi was the general, General
he was
Kenobi
the best.
He was the best of the best with his arm and everything. And to watch him, like you said, taking space whale meat and hiding it in his fucking his overalls. Yeah. It's like, man, I used to work for Amazon and even I didn't use the damn overalls. It broke my heart to see it. But at the same time, coming from it as a person that connects life stories to, fantasy stories and tries to connect myself there, I understood that level of hurt.
Obi-Wan is still a 10 million times better than Boba Fett's story. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Very freaking true.
Yeah, getting through the entire series and watching that ultimate fight and then watching them get that payoff in the end. You know, Obi-Wan returned back. You know, he was able to give Luke that spaceship, and we heard the hello there. You know, again, you know, all those things were important little moments that touched my nostalgia while at the same time finished stories for me. Because a big part of me was like, well, how the hell do you consolidate that Obi-Wan tells Luke Vader killed his father? And then to hear Anakin tell him, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did." That makes sense, you know, because it's not a lie. Because Darth Vader did kill Anakin. That hate, that anger, that darkness just consumed Anakin. And if you watch the animated series, you see that same moment. You know, we're talking off screen about the only two people to wreck Vader's helmet that way were Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. And you see that moment of unsure confidence. Vader knows he can kill the person in front of him if he really wants to, but it's that scar that's permanently there. You know, when Anakin's face is exposed, you can see Anakin because that shell is the facade. No, that helmet is what lets him be evil. You know, and I think it's important, like Shayna's saying here, it's an important aspect to remember that the only two people to stop him in his tracks is his master Obi-Wan and then his apprentice Ahsoka Tano. You know, the two people that matter the most to him.
Ahsoka kind of, which I think we're probably going to get like a full-on kind of like circle in the story of Ahsoka, which I believe she's the master that trained Luke to beat Darth or Anakin in the end. She trained him after Yoda died, which is, I always thought that was a really cool theory. I thought I really subscribed to it, that it would be poetic to have it to where that the apprentice came back to teach the son how to beat the father.
Yeah,
I thought that was such a great story. Now
I can get behind that idea. And people give me so much hell for it. My only caveat is that we need to let Mark Hamill retire from playing.
Oh, definitely, man. That
from
dude,
Luke,
yeah,
and I do think we need to give it to Sebastian Stan. I think he would look.
There
great
is a part of me that
Luke.
I subscribe to this. He does look like a young, ravishing Mark Hamill.
I mean, he's a pretty dude. I mean, just let him do it. At this
pretty
point.
man. He's a pretty guy. Can he pull it off? I don't know if he has the voice, but he does have the look. I'll give you that.
I think honestly, at this point, what we can do with sound effects, I mean, the look is really all we need, and then just have an acting coach come in and give him a different accent.
And not to shit on the Obi-Wan CG that they did, or not the Obi-Wan, the Boba Fett of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
the CG was a hell of a lot better than what they did in The Mandalorian, and it was way better than the de-aging they did for fucking 80-year-old nutsack face Christian Haydenson playing an 18-year-old. Like, that was horrible, dude. He looked like
Boba Fett, the guy they hired off YouTube. That's what did it.
Grip tape just ripped across his face, dude. That was fucking wild, man. He comes in, he's like, "Hello, master." I was like, "Fuck out of here, dude!" Someone get him his walker.
Now that we're talking about old ass people coming back and reprising these roles. Did you see that Samuel Jackson went on record saying that he wants to come back?
Dude, dude, I've been saying this, dude. I have been subscribed to the idea that Luke Skywalker should not have gotten Grogu.
Mace Windu fangirl that I know.
Fuck, dude. I am all about that motherfucker, man. I want that purple. I want the amethyst lightsaber, dude. I just wanted him to be all the characters on the Star Wars poster. Like, he's just like all 5 characters just be Sam Jackson, dude. Like,
behind you somewhere is a Samuel Jackson in the Princess Leia, slave Leia.
Yeah, straight. He's still got his purple lightsaber. He's got a wig on. He looks like Padme and Leia at the same time. Like, he's got it, man. He's got it. There is such a huge part of me that I wanted him to be the person who answered the Grogu call.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted that. And then the other part of me was like, I wanted him to be the person who saved Grogu from the Academy when they did the Order 66, because he was there. And then he was there at Order 69 later on at Luke Skywalker's cabin or whatever. Like, Groku's just been in the HUD of this shit, dude.
Yeah, as a shitty D&D writer, as a person that has to make these grand entrances for random ass characters to Deus Ex Machina my party to save people, I really would have had Palpatine lightning launch Mace out the damn window and him shatter through another window and end up saving Grogu that way. Because Mace Windu, lost arm or not, would not have free fallen. He would have stopped himself, or
I guarantee on the way down he would have been like, this motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like that and he would have just been floating down. Like he wouldn't even care if he hit the ground with his back. Like he'd have just been like, this motherfucker, I can't believe he shot me with the motherfucking lightning. And Anakin was there and he fucking pushed me out a window. I'm gonna beat that boy's ass when I see him. Like I love
you see,
it.
This way, this motherfucker was not a Jedi Master.
Dude, you already know it. You already know it. Samuel Jackson needs to come back. Like his character is probably the ace in the hole that we all need. And that's the thing is like now we've gotten past to the whole like the Rey story and the Kylo Ren story. Like he would have already probably aged out by then. Yeah. Like he would have been super disappointed with Luke.
We attribute Mace Windu to be human because he looks human. But in the Star Wars universe, races aren't people. There aren't us. They don't live up to 100 years maximum. They can live longer. I mean, Grogu's a great example. He's 50 years old and a baby.
Like the Grand Inquisitor that was like, oh, which stomach did she stab?
Yeah.
I fucking hated that. That was so dumb, but all right. I'm about it, I guess.
Yeah. And I understand the plot hole writing that did it, but I was at least happy that he didn't die and they make a big ass plot hole for what happens to him in Star Wars Rebels. Yeah. Because that series gives him such a wonderful ending that I cannot push that cartoon enough. If you guys haven't seen it, watch Star Wars Rebels, because what they do for so many dark side characters to give them this closing chapter on a lot of things is wonderful. I mean, I love that series a lot.
Nice. Alex, my homie says my favorite Star Wars movie right now is Rogue One. I know people crap on it, but the ending alone sends shivers down my spine.
Which, spoilers, like guys, I said if you haven't seen it, nobody survives.
Well, like I said, something cool. Andor is coming out, and it's actually the story of that dude, the main character from Rogue One, the one that falls in love with the girl. So that whole cast is probably going to end up coming back.
It's Cassian. I can't remember his last name, but Cassian.
Like Andor, isn't it? Isn't his name Andor? Yeah. So it's going to be his whole story, and I feel like a lot of that cast. Dude, I think, of course, I'm a big fan of Donnie Yen. I think he's been super underutilized in like all of his movies, dude. The fucking from Blade Trinity,
man. How the hell?
Yeah, from Blade Trinity when they made him a weird vampire ninja guy that got eaten by another vampire to the blind swordsman that can kind of do Force stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's cool. They should have expressed more of this different aspect of a spiritual person being able to tap into the Force being different compared to the way the Jedis use it. I feel like that was a very underutilized story that could have been used.
But I think the reason we lose out on those types of stories, once again, like I'm not a published author in any way or writing scripts, but we're losing out on the stories because mainstream media consumers don't know how to take stories like that. How do we fit in somebody having faith in a fake thing? They attribute to religion and stuff like that, and you see it in Rogue One as he's walking towards the blaster shots of the stormtroopers, and he's just praying. That's what he's doing. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. And he's chanting this prayer. Every blast is missing him, and he makes it. You can't really sell that easily and not make it churchy and preachy. Hell, I'm Catholic, and everybody says, may, God be with you. And I say also with you whenever someone says, may the Force be with you, because my Catholicness tells me also like in church. Yeah, it's also with you.
You should just say, may the Force be with you also, like during that type of church.
Yeah.
When everyone's like, may the Lord be with you.
Yeah, may the love of the Lord be with you. May the Force be with you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Don't be a Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be a Sith. Where do we go from here with Star Wars, dude?
Honestly, I think we need to explore the loss. The Skywalker saga ending the way it ended. Stormtroopers are out there. They don't know what their lives are anymore. I would like to see Poe and what's his name? Rey's other buddy, Finn. Thank you. Out there, trying to,
make ends,
rehabilitate, stormtroopers, bring them back into society, because they are, after the clones are finished up and gone, they are just conscripted children that are taught that all they are these soldiers. That's it. So, those are people that need to be reintroduced into worlds to not murder on sight, to find proper skills. We need an expanded universe that delves into how everybody deals with the fallout of what's happened. Multiple Death Stars have fallen and all that.
I must ask, because you're a pretty knowledgeable person when it comes to this, and many hours have I spent thinking about this. Live action Captain Rex series after Order 66. I think a live action like Passion of the Christ version of Order 66, dude.
Oh, just watching them all strung up and murdered. We got the couple of scenes.
Just Anakin, just an hour long of him beating the shit out of kids, dude. What? Okay. How and where do they put the Ezra story that they're trying to come in with? Like how does it kind of like, because you're gonna know it has to correlate with the ending of the Emperor. Right. And the ending of the Empire. Like Ezra is doing something over here and Luke's doing this, but Ezra's out there because Ahsoka's looking for him at the same time.
Right.
So like, and Ezra's story with Thrawn played out fairly cool at the end. Like it was a really cool ass fucking ending.
That Ezra fits in with the current Ahsoka storyline coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get her connecting the way she does in the overall arc that she has in the animated series, becoming something other than a Jedi, a sister of the Force in essence, because that's where Ezra goes. He doesn't become a Jedi like a traditional Jedi. He becomes one with the living Force. You know, the animals that are Force sensitive, the creatures out there that are Force sensitive, yeah, they bond with him. They let him achieve greater things than Jedis or Sith can
ever got to.
Yeah, and that's what Thrawn sees, and you get to see at the end of the series that Thrawn obviously knows that Ezra is a threat, but at the same time, Thrawn sees that Ezra is a potential weapon, a potential ally to take over a galaxy in a manner that is not the Empire. And I think that's the direction they go with him, that it's Ahsoka finding the living Force, finding him and bringing him back, so we get a different type of Jedi, a different type of good for the universe.
Vince asks and says, what about a Darth Plagueis series? Darth Tyrannus.
Story, Darth Plagueis the Wise. The one damn horror story and nightmare story that every fucking Sith talks about.
You know what I hope that we get as a story? A Knights of Ren story. That's a series I could really get behind.
I will agree with you. We didn't get enough of it. The comic series was pretty solid. I do think exploring them would be great. I mean, and even having Adam Driver come back, be Kylo Ren, I think he was really shortchanged in the films. There was a lot of story there that we should have gotten that we didn't.
I think because there was talks about it being that they were acolytes of specifically just Darth Vader, that they were going around and they were collecting certain memorabilia of Darth Vader when he was
basically
alive.
The talismans of Vader.
Yeah, like just things, and they were all based on Mustafar. Like they were all based in Mustafar, and all the items were items from Mustafar, and they were literally collecting memorabilia of like the most recognizable Sith characters that were around. Yeah. It wasn't that they were Siths, is that they were just acolytes. They were just big fanboys. But I think it would be a great story if it was created like Game of Thrones, not where they're banging each other's cousins and shit, but like knights, like real, like fictional knight style characters.
Well, I think the Knights of Ren really lend their identities to the idea of a corrupted Camelot. Mm-hmm. This idea of the Knights of the Round Table that focus on this one belief structure, and they're trying to work towards that goal, but everything around them is the antithesis to it. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't allow them to grow. It doesn't allow them to expand. And I got to give it to John Castillo. Really,
Mara Jade, dude.
Yeah, going out there for Mara Jade. I don't know how the hell they would do that series right now, but I'd watch it.
I mean, it would literally be cool if Ezra Miller can stay out of his legal issues.
Ezra Miller as Darth Plagueis. That's what he's doing. Freaking did.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he started a cult. Why not? He's a Sith. Yeah, he's a Sith.
He's a Sith
he's
Lord.
A straight Sith. Did you see the other video that they just? Yeah. Dude, we talk. Me and Brian are like, man, we're so tired of Ezra Miller. He's in our feed like all the time. We thought it was a joke at first. I thought it was really funny, and I know it's not something to laugh at.
Yeah, now it's horrifying. Yeah,
because now it's fucking horrible. Yeah, when he tried to rob those people at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, like and the first thing that popped in my head is like, Ezra Miller standing in your living room or your bedroom wearing like a Walmart version of the Flash outfit that's like for a kid, and it's like high waters and high like sleeves, and it's like a plastic like Flash thing, and he's like, yo, give me your money and your passport. I would have been like, "Duh, if you give me 10 minutes, I'll put my shit on and go with you, dude." Like, this is gonna get fucking wild, man.
Let's see where this goes.
And then it just changed into like this whole fucking debauchery, dude. There was a video released by someone like 2 weeks ago that probably saw him at like a Walmart. And they walked up to him and they got a video, and he was like, yo, what would you do if I knocked you out right now? And the guy's like, oh, what? Like, he's smiling at him and shit.
Yeah, you
I was
see
like, yo,
Ezra's a joke at first,
serious, dude. And I was like, I was telling Brian, I was like, yo, I'm gonna drive up there and just get smoked with this dude. I want to be a guy that knocked out Ezra Miller, dude. I'd totally do that shit. And I do it for free too, man. I wouldn't give a shit, man.
Well, I mean, the marketing sells itself. You can train fighters because you're the man that knocked out the Flash.
But you're the dude that knocked out the Flash. You slowed down the Flash, dude. Mike, have you seen, going on to different subjects, have you seen Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel?
Yes.
Oh, have you caught up to the last episode?
Have not watched the latest episode. Have not watched it because
I
went to a beach vacation this week and I've missed almost everything.
Hey, that sounds fucking fantastic though. So far, how are you liking the show?
You know, I enjoy it. You know, I read the comic when it first came out, and it was poorly received, and I felt bad for it because it was telling a story that non-traditional readers wanted.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, traditional readers were like, no, they're wokeifying comics and all that other horse shit. When like comics weren't woke the entire bloody time, right? And we had entire 80s eras talking about what drugs do to you and stuff. I mean, hell, Bruce Banner was an alcoholic, but whatever. You know, I love the visual effects. I love the cinematography, you know, the set pieces, the costumes, and just you know, how Kamala is being portrayed. You know, the actress is doing such a wonderful job. I remember one of my buddies gave me hell. And he's like, oh, she's just playing a teenager because she's a teenager. It's not that hard. I was like, screw that. You know how hard it was for myself as a teenager to not look like a total idiot doing what I'm doing? And she has to portray that level of cringe, that level of unsurety, that loss in a world that's hers but not. You know, I really am loving what they're doing with that character, what they're doing with that series.
It's a really good slice of lifestyle television show.
Yeah.
It's very much like it started off as like the antsy teenage like television, you know, like a regular teenage show, and it turned into like this. And I mentioned it last week, almost like a Dawson's Creek teenage show, but about her and her mother.
Yeah,
has really been what it's been. And now the introduction of her grandmother, and of course, like a little bit more into the backstory. I don't want to ruin it for you. I know you'll probably end up watching it this weekend or whatnot, but this last episode, it had a lot of like mom-daughter moments. And I feel like this is probably one of the most family-driven shows that have been written by Marvel.
You know, and honestly, I think coming from the era of the Netflix series that we got and how they were so highly focused on individual traumas, individual people, individual powers, individual circumstances, you know, having a family-driven, almost old school 90s, early 2000s sitcom feel allowed us to connect to a character because we all saw that in our mothers. I mean, the way they're questioning, you know, who's eating, or, you know, mom has leftovers for the friend that comes over all the bloody time. You know, even as Latinos, you know, we see that a whole lot. You know, my mom came home and is staying with me after our vacation right now before she goes back to San Antonio, and my fridge is full of fucking leftovers. Like there's food in that thing that I would normally not be in there. There's no space in my damn fridge. That's what my mom does. And you see that character family driven storyline, I think, producing a real connection for the character to have something to fight for, because superheroes are cool to her in her world. I mean, as a convention producer, nothing was funnier than seeing AvengerCon. It made my ass laugh. And I was watching this thing, and I was like, man, I don't know how much money these guys had to make the show, but to have a giant ass Ant-Man in this thing cost somebody a lot of time, a lot of money.
Yo,
but
that hammer straight killed that girl. I don't know what the show's doing.
Oh yeah, straight up.
That hammer straight killed that girl, and she lived through that.
Yeah, it's like Final Destination showed me some things, and it did not end that way.
And that is not something you just walk off, dude. That's like the moment that it swings by and her boots are still on the ground with her legs in them and blood everywhere.
Yeah,
and she's like splattered somewhere else.
Yeah,
that was wild.
And then what hinges is the damn thing on? Like it's swinging like that. That's some solid ass bolt work up top, or somebody did some good welding. But yeah, no, the series itself, I'm enjoying it a lot, and I like where the direction is going because Kamala as a character, in the comics, she takes a lot of her heroic persona from the person she is and has to be. In a post-terrorist or everywhere world, she's portrayed as the bad guy, and she's not. Do I want her to be a little more silly? Do I want to hear her say "embiggen" before she does something at the end of the series? Yes. Will I get it? I have no idea. I haven't gotten there yet.
How do you feel on what they've done with the powers and the rework of the character and stuff like that with this series compared to the comics?
I think it makes sense because in a cinematic universe where we've already seen Mr. Fantastic appear before she did, people that aren't familiar with the comics would have said, "Oh, she's just a copy of that character." Especially since we don't have Inhumans predominantly in the MCU right now. We've just seen Black Bolt reintroduced.
And get fucking wrecked
in seconds. When I heard her say "what mouth," I was like, "Son of a bitch!" This is the
I
smartest
was
thing
like,
ever.
God dang it! Where is Lockjaw, dude?
Yeah, so we don't have that basis for her. So having it being cosmic, have it being something else that's within her, but maybe this piece unlocks it or whatever it's going to be. Because like I said, I haven't gotten there yet. I like it because they took it and they made it their own. Which goes back to other complaints about woke media and stuff when the female Ghostbusters, Answer the Call came out. Everybody was pissed because, girls are taking over Ghostbusters and blah, blah, blah. But that series, really took a boys club idea and made it their own. They introduced characters that made sense in that universe and had cares and, distresses and worries that made sense for what they were doing. I think that's what's happening here.
Good stuff. And it's super important too, because like you said, like it wasn't the same thing with America Chavez. Like those characters at the time weren't very
well received at all.
Yeah. Nobody liked them in the comics.
Yeah. I remember they came out about the same time that Lady Thor came out, Lady Sif got her own book.
And it's one of those things that I keep telling people, like my thing is sooner or later, there's going to be a passing of the old guard.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of these new actors and actresses that are coming up that are going to have to be taking over the roles. However, Marvel decides to handle that, it's all on them. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's all about the writing. If they do the writing correctly, they make it make sense. They can fix their problems that they had in the comic books. Mm-hmm. Like there's some pretty interesting things that happened in the movie that just came out, which I'm kind of a little happier that they did. Because I thought that was a major shame that they didn't do in the story, in the original Jane Foster story. So, with the idea, like that was the other thing that I was kind of upset about Doctor Strange 2 is that I feel like America Chavez was very underutilized. Even though there was an Oakley explanation, they explained the utopian universe with her two mothers. But it was like so, a bee, wow, fucking throw her parents into the multiverse and that's it. Yeah. Like, I was like, that's how you're gonna handle this? Like that's a pretty important part of this story and our society as a whole right now is people getting proper representation or needing some type of proper representation to feel like they needed like a link to all of this madness that's the multiverse of Marvel or whatever. And America Chavez does have a really interesting backstory that's been used many times where it comes from a universe where there is no males. It's all females.
Yeah.
Everybody complained about it right now, but no one complained in Dark Metal when they had it where Aquaman is literally Mara, but she's also known as fucking I don't even fucking remember Aquaman's name. God damn it.
Arthur.
Yeah. But I'm talking about she's the Deep or whatever she plays in that storyline, and she comes from a universe also that has no males. It's all females. It's not like it's new and it's some woke agenda. That shit's been around for a long time. Yeah. And it's really weird because like we said earlier, my boy Rob came in and was like, yo, don't just be like one of those YouTubers. There is like a large amount of people that get so hurt by words and things they see with their eyes. They're so fucking weak that they don't just say, hey, dude, it's just a movie. Calm your bread, bro. I get it. If they put it out there and it's not something you like, you're not going to like it. Bet. Give it a chance. Watch it. See if it at least has some type of entertainment value.
Yeah, and wrapping up to the idea that you said of passing to the old guard, and going back to Dungeons and Dragons, and I've been playing it since 1998 when second edition was out, advanced D&D, and I mean that shit that's been around forever. I played first edition, and now we have our fifth edition out, and it's much more user friendly. It's for the younger generation, and all of us older cats. The vast bulk of us hate the new edition. They took away a lot of things, the older stuff that we had and used in light. And we get into arguments like, oh, no, fifth edition sucks. We're only going to play 3.5 and that's it. Fourth edition's horrible. We're never touching it. And I'm of the mind of passing of the guard, where, these new movies that are coming out in media, new versions of D&D coming out. They're not meant for me anymore. I'm not the target demographic. The stuff that I liked, I have all those books. I can play that for all eternity. Matter of fact, if I want to go to my grave playing in third edition, I can. But at the same time, with all these newer editions coming out, with all this newer stuff that's for the younger kids, means that I still get new stuff. I still get new media. I still get new options to choose from, and I will be able to play until I'm gone. And my son can take over. My son can inherit my X-Wings. My son can inherit, my Ninja Turtle figures and everything else because we are getting new versions of things.
Have you heard, like, even speaking of that, like speaking that into existence, like the idea that there's people that gatekeep Metallica?
Dude, I saw that in
Stranger Things.
I was like, what? I mean, first of all, Metallica is the worst thing to gatekeep. They're the ones that killed Napster when we had
Napster,
it back in the day.
Yeah,
like an assholes. But
that's how old we are.
Yeah, who gatekeeps music? Yeah, that's ridiculous. You are supposed to share things.
There is a weird trend that people need to be, that they think that their opinion needs to be valued above everyone else's.
Yeah.
And it's very sad because I just saw that today where someone was having to explain through a meme that like this generation that knows Metallica is a picture of something that is like a mad face dude. And this generation is like a bunch of kids in a meme learning that Metallica got famous off of Stranger Things. And it's like, hey, dude, it wasn't only but 8 years ago that I was teaching one of my classes, and I had Spotify on Slipknot just because some people equal shit's pretty good. And one of my kids in my class was like, "Oh, that's that old band, right? That's like classic rock." And I looked at him and I was like, "Slipknot's classic rock."
Yeah, and your arthritis fired up and everything else, right?
Yeah. My anxiety kicked up.
My sciatica shit.
My sciatica kicked in. I was taken and I was like, yo, but that's the way time works.
Yeah, it's a great example is Post Malone did that song Take Ozzy What You Want From Me with Ozzy Osbourne. And there are kids commenting on the music videos like, man, I don't know who this Ozzy guy is, but it's great that Post Malone gave him a shot. This old cat's awesome. And that's shitty to us old folks because we know who Ozzy is, but at the same time that's a whole new generation that's going to experience
go
Crazy Train and
look at what Stranger did for the fucking Running Uphill song.
No shit, that
song was like more now than chart okay in the 80s, but right now it's like literally killing in Spotify. That's literally the morning Chuck Norris woke up and he apparently like killed Hitler, was pushing the earth down. His beard was made of things that were harder than Mount Rushmore. And he just got a check. Like people were telling
lightning doesn't strike the same place twice because Norris is coming.
Yep. That he made Optimus Prime with a prototype of the Total Gym. And I was like, dude, Chuck Norris was like, what the fuck is going on? I barely make Walker, Texas Ranger episodes. Why did I all of a sudden get famous again? Like it's so wild, but it's so cool at the same time.
Yeah,
like yes, us old guard may think like, I mean, Alex, he's a big fan of the old school stuff of Star Wars, but he wasn't a big fan of Boba Fett. The Obi-Wan story, it was okay, but I feel like it was a little bit weird, but it was okay because it's been spoken into existence.
Yeah.
Like it's here. Who would have thought that's literally the ironic idea that we've already seen Howard the Duck in a Marvel movie.
Twice. Yeah.
Being that we saw Howard the Duck the movie back in the 80s, and it was
Hey, Leah Thompson almost took that duck dick, so we know where that comes from.
But we got a Howard the Duck, and people were excited for it, and I was so baffled that people were excited for it. But fuck it, I'm excited. They're excited. Like that's as much as I can say for it.
The mentality we need to have these days. Like I understand, your things are sacred to you. There, you cherish these things, but you have to be able to let it go. It's not meant for you anymore. And I think that's my big takeaway from new episodes of things that I loved. I don't watch it through the eyesight of Michael, the diehard old school fan that read the comics and everything else. I get to see my son watch it and see him get excited and see him say, Daddy, I want an X-Wing. Daddy, what's your favorite ship? Well, Daddy's favorite ship is the Millennium Falcon. So he goes to find my Millennium Falcon and run around the house with it because that's Daddy's favorite ship.
Because that's Dad's favorite ship.
Yeah, and those things are like Transformers. Bumblebee came out and he loved the movie. Bumblebee's his favorite Autobot, and he's like, Daddy, what's yours? Well, Optimus Prime. So those are the only two Transformer names he knows. That Daddy loves Optimus Prime and his favorite is Bumblebee. And that's it. It's all that matters to him.
That's rad, man. That is so good. Mike, have you seen The Boys?
Of course. And
are you caught up though?
We are caught up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I think Robert's been waiting for this for a good.
Robert's probably been talking about this for a minute. The Boys season finale has finally come to an end. The season ended on a pretty high note. I don't know how much more time I got with you, Mike. I know that you're a man of many moons.
Yeah, so as long as I don't fall asleep on camera like an old ass man.
You will not. I guarantee. Talking about The Boys, you can't, man.
I have to say, my first critique of this season is that Anthony Starr as Homelander
is a fucking G.
God, he gave us a masterclass on a man going mad, like a lunatic slowly coming into fruition.
Descent.
Yeah, it's just this descent into madness was this masterclass level. And then I'm a big Jensen Ackles fanboy as well, so he was fucking badass.
I have to ask, dude. I have to ask. Are you subscribed to the idea that people are saying that they want him to be the new Eobard Thawne?
If we were to lose Ezra Miller and get a different Flash,
we're gonna lose that dude in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would say yes, because it's gonna sound disgusting, but if I had Ryan Reynolds being the Flash, that would make more sense to me. Having Anthony Starr be the Reverse Flash
with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, with Ryan Reynolds, because the way they act is so different but so similar. There's that level of sarcasm with them both, but in a much lighter and darker way. I mean, Free Guy showed us what Ryan Reynolds could do, given free reign just to have fun with something.
Just have fun.
Yeah. So I think if we had a different Flash, if Ezra was out, yes. If Ezra stays being the Flash, then it wouldn't fit.
But
Anthony's too horrifying to be.
Lantern, though. He's a Green Lantern.
Don't get me started. I wanted Nathan Fillion to be Hal Jordan, but
I think everybody. Well, okay. They might bring him in for Wonder Man, but that'll be another conversation for another day.
Yeah, I tried typing as fast as I could when we were talking about Wonder Man the last time.
Yeah, that's wild to me, man.
I'll be okay with it, but we'll talk about him later.
We'll have to talk about that. We definitely will. But yeah, so far we got the season finale ended on such a crazy note. They've taken a lot of freedoms to change it from the comic,
which I think we needed to do. The comic is rough.
Yeah, because a lot of people, some people they're really excited about the series because it's a very extravagant comic book.
Yeah,
but that's what I think it was. I think that when they were originally writing the story for The Boys, it was more about the shock value. And now that they got the opportunity to make a show, they're doing what they did with like Incredible or Invincible, which they're saying, hey, you know what? We're kind of going into the limelight. We need to clean this up. Like, we need to make it an actual good story.
Yeah, they took off frayed edges and start tidying up the corners and making sure we got. Because honestly, the hero-gasm in the comic is worse. Oh yeah,
what they've done with Soldier Boy and the story that they created with him, because he is way different than what he is in the comics, man.
Yeah, no, he in the comics. I mean, spoilers. I guess it's been what, like 10 years, or whatever it's been. So with Soldier Boy, he was a weakling. He was abused and used. Yeah, Hero Gasm was horrible for Soldier Boy. Yeah, and what we got here.
I was talking about it last week where I was telling people like there was a point where like Homelander, like the like Soldier Boy is like his butt buddy.
Yeah,
in a way, but he does it to demasculate the male characters in the comics. It's almost like a way that he takes like this dominating position,
this
like over everybody.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's very weird. So for them to be like, oh, hey, you know what, Bet, like he's actually Soldier Boy's son. There is like a father-son attribute here. They kind of showed reference to it in the last episode with him talking to Jensen Ackles on the phone and them kind of having the conversation about it.
Yeah.
And then bringing it to fruition today where they're right in front of each other, and then Jensen Ackles' character is like, yo, you're a huge pussy, dude. Like, I wish I was your father because
I'm the only me. Yeah.
And I did not see that coming. I did not see the fact that he was going to go through to kill him. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Soldier Boy, man of his word, dude. Like bet. But I didn't see the son being a factor in this. I didn't even it didn't even dawn on me that would be a thing. Or he'd be like, hey, look, you're not just a dad, but you're a grandfather. Like, I was like, whoa, like.
And you got to give it to Kripke and Co. and that writing room. They took a series that was 100% shock value. The comic book itself is just, I mean, if you watch the animated shorts for the boys, those are far more in line with the fucking comic books.
Yeah, the Aquafina one.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, the fucking
that was
turtlings.
So fucking horrible, dude.
Yeah, I made the mistake of eating chili dogs when I was watching that. I was like, huh. But anyways, that animated series does much more for the comics than what we're seeing here. But this series is allowing us to introduce the boys to the popular media while at the same time, keeping as close to the originals we can get.
It's a good question for Vince Weaver, man. This is my dude. He's always asking the questions.
I'm going to get mad shit for this. I have a casting, but I'm going to get mad shit for it.
Go.
Dr. Doom.
Yo, okay. Mine, the Sentry.
Oh, the Sentry.
Yo, it's the same guy. He's literally the same guy.
Actually, yeah. And it'd be such a fuck you to Amazon too.
Yeah, that'd be okay. So, man, I really thought in the Thor movie Henry Cavill was gonna come out as Hercules. Like I really did, but there was no case for that. I really wish it was. That would have been such a great fucking cast call. But yeah, I would say Anthony Starr as the Sentry because he would play a really good Robert Reynolds, like just in the madness aspect. Just the madness. Even the look too. All you're doing is just giving him long hair, and then the Sentry, literally in the 50s or 60s or whatever year you want to write him in, he was just that like the blonde hair. He would literally just be Homelander all over again.
Yeah, just in a yellow suit with a big ass instead of the eagle.
But he would be doing good things and actually be a superhero. But then when he's by himself is when he like descends into his madness.
Becomes the void and everything else.
Dude. Oh, that would be so fucking good.
God damn it, Chris. Good. Now I want that. What the hell, dude?
Yeah, I'm telling. Hey, and we're getting World War Hulk. We got to get a Sentry soon.
Yeah, that's the only way. Man, yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make a promise right now. The only other person from the boys I would like to see make a crossover in the MCU is Mother's Milk.
That's who though?
I want him to play Blue Marvel.
Oh,
I want him to play Blue Marvel, which is
I can see it.
What's his name? What's his name? I'll get his name right now. I know it's gonna pop into my head right now, but
just the way he carries himself, especially in the voice of Mother's Milk. I can see it. Man,
Adam Brashear.
Yeah, that'd be a damn good casting.
Yeah, Adam Brashear. He would be such a badass Blue Marvel, man.
You see, Vince, I don't know if Anthony could be Magneto. Magneto to me isn't madness. Magneto to me is cool and calculated, and the ends justify the means. There's a level of he knows what he's doing, but it's good in the end.
Robert says I like to see Butcher play Wolverine.
I can agree just from looks alone, but I'm gonna get hell for it. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Daniel Radcliffe do it. Yeah, I think Harry Potter.
No, that's not a bad thing. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe could do it, but they're looking for the kid from
Yeah, Taron Egerton from
I forgot the British guys.
the oh my
The
god, I just
British
finished watching
Secret
this one.
Service dudes.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
I
don't
love
even
these
know.
movies. Why the hell can't I can't figure out.
I can't remember the guards, the something guardsman or something
The
like
Kingsman.
that.
The Kingsman.
The Kingsman. There you go. The kid from the Kingsman is the one that they're looking for Wolverine right now. Billy Butcher, man. Well, he was already the Executioner.
Yeah, he was Executioner already.
Yeah, he was already in Thor. So yeah, Elton John. Yeah, fuck, he's in Elton John too. Wolverine's gonna be Elton John. Wolverine's gonna be,
I gotta give it to Robert. Elton John did have a really good cameo.
Yo, I think that kid, Remy. What's his name? Rami.
Oh,
Remy.
Yeah, he played
Rami Malek.
Mercury. Yeah, Rami Malek. Yeah.
I think he would be a good Doctor Doom.
Oh,
I think he'd be a pretty good Doctor Doom. Young kid, looking sharp, man. I think that would be really cool. I don't mind. I know a lot of. I know. No, I'll get literally shit on for this one. The Fan Four Stick, the Fantastic Four movie. I didn't mind who they chose for Reed, nor did I mind who they chose for the Thing, Ben Grimm.
Okay.
Even though no one will ever beat the dude from The Shield, like whoever that bald guy was that played Thing. What's his name?
Yeah, Michael Chiklis.
Dude, that he was good as a Thing. Like I loved him as a Thing. But the new one, like those characters weren't that bad. And then you got to see the dude that played Mr. Fantastic came out in Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
So looking fucking ripped to shit in that movie.
Yeah, no shit.
So yeah, he looked in fantastic shape. So I mean, the guy's on the up and up. That's not too bad. But yeah, man. If Anthony Starr was to move into MCU, I would love to see him as a Sentry. That would be poetic. But going back to the Boys finale, what did you think of how it ended? How do you feel on how the show is handling itself, and what do we think is going to happen in the next one? Because
I don't know what we can do with continuations. At this point, it's all or nothing. They've giving us everything we wanted and what we didn't want all at the same time, and that's scary. Especially at a show that's heading into a season that has spin-offs coming. Do we try to stay anywhere near the comic storyline, or do we open up and just let a whole new world expand? And we have this college years episode series coming out. We have the animated thing coming back. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to anticipate here, because The Boys itself as a property is stupid. It's as horrible can get. I mean, I remember when Wanted came out as a comic series, and I thought that was
crazy as fuck. The
craziest thing you could get. Yeah. The villains won and they took over the universe, and now the universe
Eminem is a fucking assassin.
Yeah, and he has spider climbing boots, and his dad's this fucking horrible human being. There was a level of dark that I thought we couldn't surpass. And then The Boys kind of just ups the ante, gives you every horrible thing that you would think a person with that level of power would do. Yeah. It's Greek and Roman mythology at its most horrible spotlight.
Yeah, like at its peak.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's going to do. Did it do a great job? Yes. Was I glued to the damn screen? Yes. Did I have to pay my son to go hide in the room so I could watch the fucking thing?
Yes. And you know what? Like, it's masterful writing what they did, because in the last episode when they had Butcher versus Soldier Boy and Huey versus Homelander, mm-hmm. like that scene was probably one of the best superhero stories seen fighting things I've ever seen in a long fucking time. It was, and they were just in one room. They didn't have to destroy a city. They didn't have to flatten a whole, fucking blow up the ocean. They didn't have to go through time or whatever. Like, they just fought in one room, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, and as a fan of what Kripke does with Eric Kripke, the producer and mm-hmm. part writer of the story in the show, I came off of his writing with Supernatural.
Yep.
And that's something he's masterful with. He can take this apocalyptic event and shove it into one room, into one scene. We don't need Kal-El throwing Batman through a fucking city building or whatever, or wrecking entire Metropolis and Gotham because Zod showed.
Yeah.
Here we had what basically was an intimate battle. The fight that as fans I think we needed to see. We didn't need to see entire cities crumbling.
CG stuff.
Yeah, we needed to see emotion. We needed to feel that Huey needed it. Everybody needed it, and I think it was a good payoff for us.
I was completely floored that Noir got killed off. I was like, I am so confused. Like, I'm baffled right now because Noir in the comics played like a huge part,
Yeah,
huge part in
in
the
the
greater
comics he
selling
was
of it.
anti-Homelander. I mean,
Yeah,
if I remember, he was a clone.
he
You
was
know, he
literally the anti Homelander. He was the purpose. He was the backup plan for Vought, and
yeah
he like after you found out that he was the one that raped Billy Butcher's wife, and he did everything that Homelander uh did wrong. That Homelander was like, well, I fucking thought I was going crazy. It was you all along,
yeah
Agatha Harkness or whatever.
yep. It was
Yeah,
Agatha
that
all
was
along. Yeah.
Noir. Like, yeah, and then in the very end, Noir kills Homelander, and then Billy Butcher kills Noir, and then Homelander takes over like the entire military. They literally give him the entire military for that moment,
Yeah.
because he's the only other person that everyone knows can fight Homelander.
Mhm.
Um, now what the fuck do you do? You took out that whole story. That's a fucking ballsy move.
You see,
You
and that's what I'm seeing. Like, did they take out that story because we haven't touched on clones and the science behind the boys? And the comics still opens out. What if we just get another fucking Homelander? You know, what if Anthony Starr comes
maybe
back, but they just hatch the egg, open the shell, and let him out, and say, now you take over again, and see if we can do this with the next version.
God, that would be crazy, man. I mean,
Because
with the comic, with the Noir thing, it made sense in the comic, but like there's really not much left of the story other than like Huey taking like a permanent V and becoming like the hero that everyone needs. They did. Starlight has a more prominent story in this. She started flying and her powers got doubled literally. Um, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like it's really Maeve. Like they're everyone's getting like they're fucking the girl or what's her name? I don't even know what they call her. Kimiko.
yeah,
Kimiko, like
she's the girl. Yeah.
everyone's getting like even Mother's Milk. Like I'm happy they stayed away from his fucking comic book story. I
Oh
keep
god,
telling
yes.
that every episode of this of our show. I'm like I am happy they did not go with Mother's Milk fucking show bullshit. But I'm so happy like how the dynamic of the boys is compared to the comics. This is like true to the idea that with great writing, you could take a story that has already been done well and make it better. Like you literally can make it better. Right now, the boys, TV wise, I would recommend the TV over the comic in a heartbeat.
Oh, I agree with you. The
And that's
the
so
comic was
crazy,
shock
man.
value at its finest at the time when it was the big thing to be the dark storyline. I mean, the
Mhm.
Ultimate Universe came out a little bit earlier than it, but it was doing the same damn thing. Everything was darker and edgier and real early 2000s and we hate everybody and fine, whatever.
Injustice.
Yeah,
Injustice.
God.
Well, it was literally on the cusp of Injustice and Kick Ass.
Yep.
So like that was that whole thing that they were like, oh, Kick Ass. They literally had a dude cut his fucking dog's head off and put it on that dude's body. We could top that. Yeah, we can top
and
a big Russian lesbian
that's what
lady.
it was. Like let's just top it. Let's just
We can top a big
that.
Russian lesbian lady beating the shit out of a fucking 13-year-old little girl. We can top that. We can top that. The little girl doing cocaine and shit like that. We got this.
Yeah, that's not
fucking Kick Ass. I love Kick Ass so much.
It's a show of force for what they've done with the boys. Because like I said, this show could have ended 2 seasons ago. Season 1 could have been one and done because that comic is just horrible.
Fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have ever
time,
thought we would have got an episode like Hero Gasm? Like knowing what it is in the comic, comparing it and saying, "Hey, dude, we filmed this." Like we, well, you have no mic. I was like,
and the marketing for it was wonderful, and all of them coming out saying this episode is suited for nobody. Yeah, it's not suitable for anybody, and that's great.
That was wild, man. I remember when I was like, when I heard it, and someone was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, they filmed Hero Gasm." I was just like almost like the idea of disappointment. I was just like,
the fuck, why?
Oh,
that's right.
No.
It's like nobody asked for this. Like we didn't need to see this again.
Nobody asked for Love Sausage. No one asked for any of this stuff. Just no. How would you rate the boys right now when it comes to the series?
It's a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, that show took a mad risk, and you have to give the writers room the props. They took something that should not have had the longevity it's had. It should not have had the staying power, the star power. There's no reason for this show to work. On paper, this is the dumbest fucking show
That was the
for
fucking
anybody.
that was the ace in the hole, man, for no
Yeah.
reason, dude.
It's like, yeah, mid season 2, we're gonna have Mother Smoke being choked by this huge expanding dick. We're gonna make this Reed Richards joke that this guy's cock's gonna come through a window and then he's gonna have to bite it. Like that. The entire writing process, getting you through all these things. I don't even understand like what type of drug or what drink they're drinking in this writing room.
Can you imagine the fucking writer's room when they were like, I got an idea. The Thanos Ant-Man thing running in his butt, but he runs in his dick instead and then explodes.
Like I really think on their writer's board, there's just a big old dick and say, how do we fit a dick into this season?
No way that there's just solid, sound-minded people that are like, yo, this is going to be good writing. I remember reading Shakespeare, Hamlet, and this dick scene really just came to mind.
He's like, I was reading the Hounds of Baskerville, and I thought about Sherlock Holmes and the Passion of the Peepees, we're going to call this. Because
I was watching Avatar, and I remember the scene where Sully goes to the tree, and I was like, but what if the tree was just a big dick?
Yeah, how do you fuck the tree? Well, we're going to find out right now. How do you fuck
a tree, dude? That's the boys. That is literally the boys. Yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably give the show like a high 9.5, 10. Like, it has its quips and quirks, but everything pays off the right way. You're emotionally connected. There's no real like underutilized character in the show. Everyone is used properly. A-Train, fucking the weird dude that he literally killed like in the last episode. Fuck, they even brought his brother back to like literally kick him out and just make this whole emotional thing where you just think A-Train's life is going to be like, you kind of were like, oh man, A-Train's just going to go back to being one of the seven and whatever. And then he sits right in front of Homefront, and Homefront's like, oh, fuck all three of you. I'll kill all of you. None of you are important to me. Like, he's got nowhere to go. Literally, A-Train's got nowhere to go. Yeah. The Deep he's almost like the Soldier Boy character in the comic where he's been demasculined and everything's taken from him, that he's just like,
yeah, his wife's controlling him via the church and whatever the fuck the fresco code is. Because I get to figure out what the fresco has to do with anything.
Yeah, like his character's so wild, man. I would have never seen his character going in this direction from the first like season.
And I got to give what they did with the Deep massive credit from when when Homelander forces him to eat that octopus. And he's like, he has a family. He's begging for his life. And the madness that's in Homelander's face, like, good, eat him. And no one around him stops Homelander. No one says that this is horrible. Like, that's great acting.
So Robert puts, I think Homelander or will be some kind of something to do with the president next season. With Butcher dying, I don't know if they're going to give him the superpowers. You know what? There is a part of me that thinks they're going to pull like one of the fastest one on us, and they're going to switch it to where Homelander does end up becoming like the savior, where it's Billy Butcher that's going to go ultimately like scorched earth. And maybe. Billy Butcher's going to end up being like the villain, and Homelander's going to be the one to have to kill him. And then he's going to be like Superman. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so happy he's the savior. At the same time, you're going to be like, I fucking hate my life.
Yeah.
I hate my life. Why am I for this?
Yeah, like, we see the descent the madness for Butcher also, the addiction to that shit and, what it's doing to him, how he's unfeeling to the boy and everything. There's room for it. I really do think there is.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, because of course we understand Billy Butcher's character from the comics that he is like all ends have to be cleared. Yeah. In the comics, he wipes out literally all the boys minus Huey, who he sets his own self up to die by Huey's hands, because he doesn't want to be the one to kill off Huey. He wants Huey to live, because he reminds him of his little brother and whatnot. But like the way the show is going, like even in this past episode, you had like there is no reason for Billy Butcher to hate or to want to kill Homelander anymore. If you think about it, in the last 2 seasons, like he let him live after the kid killed his wife, which he promised to take care of her the whole time, and the kid killed him. And then he fathered the child as much as he could because he's a piece of shit person, because he had a piece of shit life. And then he works alongside Homelander, and they almost have this like this Superman Batman kind of like, all right, you take care of the
Goku
kid.
and Vegeta, basically.
Yeah, dude, it was like night and day. They didn't even talk. They just like nodded to each other. And Homelander knew, take care of the kid, and you can fight Maeve. I'll fight Soldier Boy. Like it was an unspoken like thing. They just knew what to do as a team. And they even had that whole like the comedian Mothman moment a while back where like Homelander just showed up at his house and was like, yo, we should just be homies, man. Like I fucking hate you. Like I literally hate you. We should just be best friends. Like there's just something about it that I think that Billy, because again, in the episode where all of them are fighting and Homelander and is fighting them three, he was almost disappointed in Billy Butcher when he finds out that he's taking Compound V.
Yep.
He's almost like, what did you do? Like, what? Like, you're going to go that route? Like, how fucking crazy are you? Like, he's almost disappointed in him for cheating to even the playing field. Like, I don't know. Like, it's very cool. And I think it would be an interesting tale of the tale if at the very end, Kipke ends up writing it to where we are championing Homelander to kill Billy Butcher, and then in the very end, fucking Homelander is Superman. Like he's the savior of the world. I would hate it so much, but I would love it so much at the same time.
You know, but I think that's what The Boys does best. You hate what you're watching, but you love it because it's not what you want. It's not what you're used to. It's not what we're normally given. And Kripke and Co. With their writing, let us really, really feel dirty with what we're watching because we hate to love it.
Yep, I totally agree. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Mike, last part of the conversation that we have. I know I don't want to keep you much longer, and I don't know how much you can really talk about this, but non-spoiler reviews for Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, I know you have not seen it.
Have not.
But this goes out to anyone, too, in the comment section. I know that there's people that have seen it, and if you've seen it, please respect the people that haven't. Do you have any, not questions, because I'm not going to lift my embargo, sir, to not tell you anything that's in the story, but is there anything that you want to know without any spoilers that will help you exceed your expectation for what you're going to watch?
I'm not going to say there's anything that I want to know. I have a general idea what they're probably going to do with this because it would make the most sense with the short time frame we have. You know, I figure that either Mjolnir is brought together by Jane or something forces that thing to reassemble. Fine, whatever. She gets the power of Thor to become Earth's new mighty Thor. Because, you know, as Odin said before he vanished in Ragnarok, it wasn't that Thor was the god of hammers. You know, Thor is the god of thunder. The hammer was just a tool, a conduit for him. Yeah. And I get all that. I like all that. That's all straight out of Jason Aaron's run. Am I frustrated that we have Thunderstrike's costume because Thor's a Ravager right now? Yes. Yeah. That we did get fucking Thunderstrike. Yeah. You know, am I annoyed that we're not going to get, you know, Jane fighting? I can't remember the name of
Mangog.
Yeah, Mangog.
I would love to see fucking Mangog, man.
You know, yeah, that would have been beautiful stuff because the Jason Aaron run as it goes through everything, like I've said tons of times when we had this conversation. The only other story-driven Thor line that I liked, aside from Jason Aaron, was Walter Simonson's run that introduced Beta Ray Bill, you know, Hell falling, you know, Ragnarok, you know, the Executioner's death.
You know what? I will exceed your. I will. I guess derail your expectations. There is no Beta Ray Bill in this story. I think it's pretty. I mean, you would have probably guessed that everyone for no reason would have been excited to see Beta Ray Bill because, of course, like, you know, us being comic book fans, Beta Ray Bill was big in the story when the impact that he performed in Thor's story. But other than that, he was very underutilized throughout the entire run of his life until recently in comics. I would say like the last like 5-8 years, maybe. So I don't know why other people that never read comics are like, fuck yeah, we need Beta Ray Bill in this story.
You know, and as a comic fan, it doesn't make sense for him to show up right now in the MCU. Yeah. In the comics, you know, Beta Ray Bill shows up on his ship, the Scuttlebutt.
The Scuttlebutt.
In a galaxy story, Thor's not on Earth.
Yeah, he's not on Earth.
You know,
he's just traveling. He's just doing his adventures.
Yeah, matter of fact, that's when we see where Walter Simonson includes National Tooth Grinder, the goats.
Mhm.
You know, because Thor needs them to travel the universe.
They are Academy Award winning characters in this movie, dude.
Awesome.
You
Which
are.
I had hoped
That's
they would
probably
be.
the
Yeah.
best thing in the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in the comics they were underutilized until Walter Simonson, did his thing, and we get to see them be total badasses.
Yeah, you can see him beating the shit out of everything and then eating fucking demons and monsters.
Yeah, that's what they are in the comic
beasts,
books,
dude.
Yeah, they are utter badasses.
Yeah.
So
A lot of people don't know that. So like it was super exciting. Okay, so one thing that I did not like about this, and it's not a spoiler because we already know what the MCU's been doing, is they remove the entire unworthy story of Thor.
Yeah.
They remove that from the very beginning, and they kind of like hinted at it in Endgame and Infinity by making him fat. Like, and then you have the scene where he goes back in the past and he calls his hammer and he's like, yes, I'm still worthy or whatever. And it's like, you just got fat, dude. Like that doesn't mean you're not worthy. It just means you're overweight, dude. Like, don't make us feel like shit. Like, get out of here. I'll eat 3 cheeseburgers and I still feel worthy, dude. Fuck out of here.
I think the only way, I guess the only argument I have with that is we know I'm a Thor fanboy to the bitter end, just like you are. And I can't remember which part of the unworthy storyline it is, maybe second issue or third issue. But there's this flashback where Jane wakes up and was in bed with Thor and he's just staring at Mjolnir.
Yeah, he's staring at Mjolnir. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, why is it every morning you wake up, you're staring at it like it's going to bite?
Because I'm scared I'm not going to be worthy anymore.
Yeah, and
he's fucking petrified of it.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful thing to consider. I think that's what we were shown in Endgame. This idea that Captain America can go decapitate somebody with that shield, but he's still Captain America. Spider-Man, insta killed I don't know how many friggin' aliens in Endgame, but he's still Spider-Man. If Thor does something that makes him unworthy, then he stops being the mighty Thor. He's the god of thunder, but he's not the Avenger anymore. He's no longer worthy of that hammer. And we see that in the unworthy Thor storyline. Then eventually, when he comes to realization that he's the god of the unworthy, and that's what allows him to do what he does. Those are all huge, long story arcs that I wish we would see in the movies. But I don't think current audiences are ready for that deep dive into the mind of a deity, in essence.
Man, but that's the problem. This is my thing is like, I tell people all the time, when Thor Part 1 first came out, you can give anybody $1 million and they can make a great fantasy story with like Vikings and knights and fucking Lord of the Rings and just put them in a fucking forest and tell them there's some fucking, I don't know, giant ogres in there. And you got it. Yep. It's easy. It's easy. I just feel that they were like, yo, let's make these characters, but let's make them new age. Like they didn't want to go old age.
Right.
And that's where I feel like they made their first mistake, is that they wanted to make everything like nuanced technology wise. They had this weird mixture. And then when Thor Dark World showed up, they feared the idea of what the Thor mythos was from the comics.
Yeah.
And that's why instead of using Malekith the way they should have, they went for like this tyrant kind of awkward,
because it wasn't Chris Eccleston's fault. What that man, I mean, he's Doctor Who, the Ninth Doctor. He chews up a scene. He's an amazing actor. I mean, I got to give him props. He was fucking Destro in that horrible G.I. Joe movie that came out, and he still acted the hell out of that part. If they had let him be basically what equates to Thor's Joker, Malekith is a lunatic. That man feeds dark elves to other dark elves. Like, he's a horrible thing. If they let him do that, it would have been an amazing movie. But it's horrifying. As the MCU slowly started bringing in more and more villains, you're seeing things like the Red Skull came out and he was nowhere near as Nazi as a Nazi should have been.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that man say one fucking slur, and he probably should have said quite a few because he was straight up Nazi. We don't have those villains yet. I think we'll get there eventually, but we're just not there yet.
The other thing that I, of course, was disappointed with, these aren't spoilers. This is more based on the comic books, like just what it's lacking without it even being involved in the story at all, is the Warriors 3 got killed off in the previous series, Ragnarok. So there is no growth of any of like the way the comic book has like the council with Volstagg. My favorite character when the ultimate hammer comes and Volstagg picks that
Yeah,
up
it
and
becomes
becomes
the War
War Thor.
Thor.
My God, dude, like that is such. I don't know why, and it's so hard for me to explain it sometimes, like why it's a cool story. But first off, the ultimate hammer was a gorgeous fucking design.
It still
It
is. I
was a
mean,
fucking
yeah.
gorgeous design. So when they were doing the incursions in the comics and they were smashing the Ultimates universe with the 616,
Mhm.
and for some awkward reason, the incursion completes. We get all new, all different, and in one of the panels, you just see the hammer like flying off into the distance, away from into the void of away from the incursion,
Yep.
and then it lands in old Asgard. Then you get that whole entire like Thor, unworthy Thor, being called to this hammer.
Yeah, and it's not
And then
calling to me.
Hela
It's
and fucking Black Swan and all of these characters show up to steal it, and that's when you get like your first Thor using the thunder without a hammer scene,
yeah,
and he like literally like get away from that. That hammer's not yours, and then he reaches for it and he can feel it, and the lightning's flashing and all this stuff, and then he's like, "But it's not mine either." I
yep.
was like, my God, dude, this fucking story's so good. What's gonna
I'm
happen?
telling you, man, Jason Aaron did such a wonderful
He's such. I
job.
mean,
Man.
there's a lot of people that shit on all over the story, but
Yeah.
they don't understand that Thor didn't have shit going for him before this. Like
Mhm.
literally, whatever was written about Thor before this, that's it. Like there's
Yep.
no more. This was the Hail Hydra Captain America. Like you always get the same Captain America, and it wasn't until that he said Hail Hydra that the world went fucking crazy.
You know, I have to give it a Walter Simonson in Thor's Golden Age did amazing. And then there was nothing. Thor, the comic series, was just a monster of the week. You know, I'm
That's
gonna
it.
fight this thing, and that's it,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's it. You just went
And
around did
then
adventures. That's it.
yeah, and then we got Fear itself. You
Mhm.
know, and I think Fear itself set a stage for us as readers to understand that although Asgard has been shed into a certain light, for a shown in a certain light, it was something that was going to fall apart enough. And I can't get out of my head the scene from Fear itself when corrupted Thing and corrupted Hulk are coming at Thor, and he's trying to talk Ben out of fighting him. Ben doesn't do it, so he chunks Mjolnir and it goes right through the thing. It
Yep.
tears through his chest, and he looks at the Hulk and says, "That is because I liked him, but you have always been a pain in my ass."
Yep.
And he goes on to beat the hell out of the Hulk, and and dies in the end. He follows through with Norse mythology, takes his 9 steps after being poisoned and fades.
Yeah, by the Midgard serpent.
Yeah, so there's so much story that came out of Jason Aaron's run and what these current comics have done for Thor that we just didn't get in the past.
Yeah.
And sadly, I don't think mainstream audiences are ready for it. And we're going to get the cookie cutter Christmas cookie version of what we could enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty damn sure the God Bomb has nothing to do with this movie and that entire storyline.
People that don't read the comic books are gonna miss out tremendously on a villain of Shakespearean level of writing. Like I told people when the casting came out that Christian Bale was casted as a character in the next Thor movie, everyone, even Trigger, one of the my co-host, was saying, "Oh, dude, he's gonna be Atler, dude. He's gonna be the guy that runs Roxxon." And I was like, "Bullshit! He's gonna be Gore the God Butcher." And he's like, "No fucking way."
He would have been so underutilized if he was just that fucking Minotaur. Like, no.
And in my mind, I was like, "You would think a guy that takes acting as seriously as he does would want to be a Minotaur or like the most menacing villain the gods have ever seen."
Yeah, because in the comics, Gore's justified. He lived on a planet where the gods
really
did not answer. Yeah, it makes sense what he's doing. I mean, it's not madness, it's not wealth and greed. No, it's he was desperate and was left alone.
Yeah. It is in a way, in its own thing, it's worthy on its own cause. It's worthy. It's a worthy story that Gore goes through. And he is a magnificent villain in the comic books. in the movie, he's great. A lot of people are comparing him to Thanos, and it's too short of a movie. He's good, and Christian Bale. I mean, would you really think he's going to do a bad job?
No, it's Christian
Nah,
fucking Bale.
fuck no.
I mean, yeah.
There are some wonky parts because I think that you could tell that there was a lot of stuff that was rushed, and apparently there's like a 4-hour cut of this movie, which I hope they have a hashtag release the Watiki cut, right?
If they release a Taika cut of this and it's 4 hours long, I'm going to clear an entire day.
Yeah, can we call it the Watiti cut? Like that would be.
Yeah, I'd watch the hell of that. I mean, I watched the fucking Snyder cut. There's no reason why I wouldn't watch this,
dude. And that's because they apparently cut out the fucking dwarf with the hands. I forgot Idris.
No, I can't remember.
I forgot his fucking name.
Peter Dinklage's dwarf. Yeah, the guy that makes,
the Forge guy. They cut him out. They cut out the Grand Master, who was another part, and the lady that plays Big Mama in Dread was supposed to come out in this movie.
Lena Head.
Lena Head. Yeah. She's getting sued right now by the company that.
Yeah, I read that. I got that.
That was her agency or whatever because they didn't get any money out of it, and she's like, "My part got cut. I didn't get any money out of it either."
Yeah.
But she was supposed to be in this movie, and the concept came up of who do you think she would play?
Out of all the characters out there in the Thor universe, I probably would like her to be the Enchantress.
Whoa, that would be crazy.
Because Amora is a character.
The Enchantress.
Yeah, when she shows up, she has this infatuation with Thor. You know, she loves him, hates Sif, but she isn't a weakling. You know, she goes toe to toe with Loki as far as magic goes.
Yeah.
You know, in the comic universe, she is a badass and has always been a massive Avengers villain. Out of this really weird, perverted, like corrupted love of Thor.
Mm-hmm. You know, I had two choices, and one of them was Cinder, the daughter of Surtur, because she plays a huge role in the story. And Angelica.
Oh, Angelica would be, but I mean, are they going to introduce Angelica as the sister?
Yeah, the sister. Well, I mean, they can't because they did that with Hela.
Yeah.
Yeah, they already kind of. Yeah, this is what I always say, that they always have a tendency to write themselves into weird corners because they use assets and then they're like, fuck, we could have done this later.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Which is the problem. You know, that you have a comic continuity that's been going on for decades. And then you have new writers that are coming in that are great at their craft, but haven't been reading the books. You know, they're not following the Bible anymore, and it becomes a problem.
Hey, what's up, Ham? How's it going, my dude? Games by Ham.
Yeah.
What is up, my dude? So out of all the Thor movies, I'm probably going to put this one right now as my top Thor movie.
All right.
And the reason why is because the only thing that it sits above Ragnarok is because it wasn't Planet Hulk turned into a Thor story.
Right.
This is literally a Thor champion story from the comics. Yes, it has all the assets. It has all the assets from the Gore the God Butcher story, minus the God Bomb and some other stuff. But it takes a really big freedom in a lot of stuff that it does. Are there any cameos that are really something to look forward to? I mean, I really wouldn't say that. There's this part. I mean, you already know the part where like Zeus is and stuff like that.
He's on
they talked about. There was, I don't know if you remember, but there was a big like article where people were like, "Oh, there's Boss, the Panther God of Wakanda or whatever." Right. What they show you in those articles is about the same amount they show her on screen. Like you only see like this much of her face, like out of the shots.
Wow.
So like even with that, that's not even really anything. I was expecting a lot more. Do you remember in the Jason Aaron run, of course, of the Mighty Thor? I got it back here.
Yeah.
My poster. There is
the issue 300 cover is what you got back there.
Yeah. Dude, it's huge. I love that poster so much. And look, I got Boji. I got my new poster in the back, Boji.
Awesome.
So that's from you got to watch that if you haven't seen that anime. It's so good. The Last King, I think.
Yeah, The Last King.
The character that is the The one that the threads of time. You remember like a witch or something?
The Norns.
Yeah, is that what she is? But she's like a
Yeah.
queen though. She has like crazy hair. She's like over here in the poster.
Yeah,
like really far in the corner.
Yeah, she's
She only comes
portrayed
out
by
like in
the three
some of the.
mothers. It's Freya, Frigga, and I can't remember the other's name, but yes.
Yeah, well, there's the one that's in the comic book, and she's the one that actually like has the threads, and I think she's in a comic with Thor. Um, I want to say it's around the time that Thanos was gonna marry Hela. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that in the
Yeah,
weird
she
Jason
was
Aaron.
playing him pretty much, letting him just commit murder, and he was trying to impress her, and no.
So, if you pay attention to the God scene, the girl with the crazy witch hair with the crown that does the threads, she like walks past in the
okay.
background. So that's
So we get some comic book, you know, like, oh, that's
but
bad.
it's
That's for
like
us.
it's so far away. If you're not like the way you and I are in the comics, there's no way you're gonna be like, yeah, that's that chick. Like you would really have to read and know your comics to know that that's a person in that storyline.
Yeah, because I remember in the comics she was represented by the maiden, mother, and crone, and the three aspects of time, and that's why she had the strings of fate.
But she is not like at all referenced. She's not at all named, and for some weird reason, her face makeup. She has like face makeup on. She looks like a Muerte character.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, so she looks more like the Book of Life.
No,
but she has like you could tell it's like the crown that the character wears from the comic book. So I don't know if it was meant to be like, oh, it's a Mexican god, because like for some reason there's like an Aztec god. So they have like
put fucking face paint and a sombrero, and she's Mexican.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's got fucking maracas and shit.
Yeah,
she's just fucking cooking on a molcajete and shit, like just for no fucking reason. It's wow, fucking that's so horrible, dude. So horrible. For me. I told this to the friends that I went with. I went with Christella, Alex, and Vince.
Yeah.
And I said, I give this movie about a 7 out of 10. If it was strictly just a standalone MCU movie. But for a representation of the Gore the God Butcher storyline and how it's used in the comics to film, I would give it like a 2. Like for the Gore story.
Sets up so many. I mean, the Necro Sword and symbiotes. And oh, man, yeah. The King in Black and so much.
I understood that they were going to have a lot of problems because of Sony with the Necro Sword and all of this stuff. So a lot of stuff has to be kind of moved around and changed and all this stuff. And they do their best. But I know you're probably going to text me or hit me up after you watch it to ask me about the ending and what I thought. Because there is an introduction, not at the post. It's not a poster, an after credit scene. It's just like how the movie ends and who it ends with. That you're gonna be like, is that who I think it is? And it's 100% who you think it's gonna be.
Yeah,
that's the best way I could tell you, and that's something to look forward to. Christian Bale does an amazing job. Of course, Chris Hemsworth does a fantastic job of all his comedy hits. He never fails on that. In my opinion, I feel like Valkyrie is very underused. The Jane Foster story, even though it's kind of like a retelling of the story of Jane Foster, it is an original retelling of the story.
Okay. It isn't a hack and slash the comic.
Yeah, there is, like I said, there's sprinkles of the comic on it. But it's not done shamefully, or it's not done in a bad way. It's classy. It's creative. Could it have been done better? I think this movie should have been at least a 2-hour film. I think it should have been like a bigger film.
Right.
And in fact, I think Jane Foster as a character could have done 2 movies, 3 movies, maybe, like taking it all the way through and being the mighty Thor for several movies. But it leaves it open-ended. So you don't know if she's, because of course we all remember what happened with Natalie Portman in the other movies. Yeah. She was like, my character, the Marvel universe, I'm not going to get an Academy Award. Superhero movies are silly. And I guess like money was just running out, and she was like, "Bet I'll come back to this character."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got college to pay. So you just don't know if Natalie Portman's really gonna stay in the role that she has or not. That's what's really cool about this movie. It's left very open ended.
Yeah, my prediction is we won't get another Natalie Portman led Thor movie. We're going to get an A Force movie. We have She-Hulk showing up already. We have Captain Marvel here. We have Miss Marvel. We have Lady Thor. There's a ton of female heroes that are out there that have no outlet. So we're going to get an A Force film. That's what I'm thinking.
And are you excited for that?
I think it's about time. We have a bunch of female characters that are great characters. People shit on Brie Larson as Captain Marvel a lot because it's Brie Larson, but she plays her pretty to point with the comics. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers is an alcoholic piece of shit. Yeah,
she's a fucking hated character. She's doing pretty good if she's hated.
Yeah, she's doing great. So I think that's the direction we should go at this point. Really show off.
That's pretty good, man. You see, I would have never seen that on the way into this movie, but that's a good call. I always felt that we got our nod to the A Force when we had that scene in Endgame.
You see, I think that was Disney testing the waters.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna show all these ladies on screen. See if you like it. Let's see if Valkyrie's badass enough to get interest. Let's start throwing these characters out there, see what we can pick and choose from, and then we'll pick the most badass women we have and make a movie.
Now, the one thing that I'm disappointed with in this movie is something that we did not get because of the way that they wrote the other two Thor stories, which is Freya's death and then Odin, of course, dying in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. So we don't get the cool Freya death scene, Freya choosing Lady Foster to be Thor and being able to pick up the hammer, and we don't get the Storm Tempest from the comics. And the other thing that I really was disappointed with is we don't get the Odin versus Mighty Thor fight scene when they're beating the fuck out of each other throughout the universe. And then Loki stabs Freya and Odin's like, what the fuck was that? And then flies back home in like a millisecond. Yeah. After you're realizing that he was holding back from beating the shit out of Jane Foster. We don't get that cool fucking storytelling because, of course, Thor 2, Freya's killed by fucking some weird Malekith character. Yeah. Which pissed me the fuck off. They gave Freya such a badass where she's beating the shit out of this dude and then she just gets stabbed in the back.
Just ganked in the back.
Yeah. I hated that. I hated that so much. And then we got the cool Anthony Hopkins fucking turning into gold dust and flying off into the wilderness and creating New Asgard and all this stuff in the other movie, which is Ragnarok and Hela and weird shit. But it's man, that's such a really good fight scene though between him and then the Freya and Odin love and falling apart of their relationship and it fucking falling and then manifesting back and then Odin relinquishing himself of being king and giving it and going on his weird space adventures and fucking all the shit that's been going on in the comics. We don't get that in the movies, and I get it. Because it's so crazy that you can't make this into a movie.
Yeah, honestly, if we do get it, it's going to have to be animated. And it'll probably be a Disney Plus show, and I'll be glued to my damn seat for it.
I'd be about
it because there's no way.
Hulk movie, right?
Yep.
Like the Planet Hulk movie. Yeah, you're right. Mike, I do believe you're going to have a great time with this movie.
Awesome.
You're more open-minded about these films than I am.
Yeah, my buddies call me an entertainment slut. I'm just here for a good time.
You're just about it. Yeah, you're just like, dude. I was there when the fucking Fantastic Four got that weird ass '80s Ninja Turtle thing.
Oh yeah,
I was there when America had a motorcycle.
Yeah, I was there when David Hasselhoff was Nick Fury.
Yeah, when he was Nick Fury. Yeah, dude. Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher. Yeah, weird times. Weird times. But what we're getting now is really, really cool. We got the Jane Foster story in live action. I'd been talking about this since fucking Thor Dark World. I've been telling people it was going to come to fruition. And there's people that don't like it, and I get it. They get their feelings hurt by words and colored characters on cartoon magazines. they get hurt by those feelings. I get it. They're that weak. It's okay. They can drink water and sip tea or whatever they want to do. But entertainment wise, we got something that was pretty fun. Taika Waititi brought his weird silliness to a story that I feel, of course, could have been a lot deeper, but we're on the pinnacle of when I believe superhero movies are going to be taken more serious.
Yep, I agree.
I think my next movie I'm probably going to be excited for, I would say if they do a Battle World Secret Wars with the God Doom.
Okay.
If not, Captain Hydra.
I think the next storyline that will be coming out is the X-Men.
Okay.
And I do think, Kamala Khan's opening up this idea of another race of creatures out there. The multiverse has shown us some weird things out there. So we're going to start seeing incursions causing mutations. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing.
Good shit. I'm so about it. Mike, I can't believe you made it to the midnight call. I can't believe you did 3 hours without falling asleep on camera.
Yeah, man. I'm an old ass man. What the hell did you do to me?
I told you, man, you weren't going to fall asleep. It was going to be too fucking exciting, man. Mike, I have to say thank you for jumping on the show with me. If not, I would have had to do this crazy amount of time by myself, just talking to the abyss. But of course, I got my people that watch the show and leave comments. I appreciate every one of you guys. Mike, I appreciate you. I'm so excited to see your convention come to fruition. The Monster Hunt.
Monster Hunter Con. Yeah.
I'm so excited. You know me, dude. I'm always gonna be. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there with Monster Hunter clothes on.
You better, man. I better get some good cosplay.
I
as a Monster Hunter.
Yo, I'll straight up. We'll make a big ass dragon for the entrance.
I dig it.
Like just a big ass fucking. I want to do something Stranger Things, man. I want to make a portal. I want to,
I'll write into the story. If you can build it, man. I'll write it in.
I'm so excited. Mike, like I said, I want to thank you for jumping on the show with me, man. I appreciate you. You're one of the dogs, man. I fucking love it, man.
I think I'm the only one that nerds out as hard as you guys do at this point. So.
Yeah, and that you're the dude that I was like, man, Obi-Wan came out and I haven't heard from Mike. I need to know what's up. But thank you again for coming on the show. Everybody that's out there that was listening to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate every one of you. To our extraordinary listeners, have you seen Thor: Love and Thunder? If you have, leave something in the comments. Tell us what you think. Don't be a jerk and leave spoilers. That's not what we're about. Next week, we'll do a complete spoilers talk. Mike, if you want to come back on the show and come and talk with us and nerd out again, because I have a feeling you're going to nerd out with this movie a little bit more.
Most likely. Yeah.
So hit us up. Let us know what's up. Guys in the comments, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate every one of you. We'll see you guys again here next Friday here on the Average Boys Podcast. We love you, and we'll see you again next week. Peace.